Hello and welcome to DCP Live, episode number 132. I'm going to not screw this intro up because we're trying to change around here at DCP. You know what I'm saying? Trying to change things.
That's the smoothest intro ever.
Thank you. See? I feel a little bit of derailment happening. Just, you know.
Am I on the right podcast?
Are we on DCP Live? I think so. Yes. We got a great show this week. We got Leopard Stealth. Say hello, Leopard.
Yo, what up?
We got Fran back. He's going to be our guiding ship this week for the show, and Fallout plays as well.
Yo,
yeah.
God damn, you even introduced the guest.
I know, man. I was like,
and the host.
Solid.
It's like we're changing up just a little bit.
Feels good.
Yeah,
Man,
I like it.
Unbelievable
indeed. Yeah. Maybe this would be a good time for Fallout to tell us something about what he's doing.
So soon?
Yeah, why not? It's the intro.
Wait, don't we have to talk about random shit for 10 minutes?
We could talk about, noodles and the consistency of like gumbo or something.
Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey's speeches.
Yeah, that pre-show.
Yeah.
No. Cool. Yeah, thank you. Can I do a little quick anecdote with it?
No, you have to jump right into it.
No, I just jump right in. I'm sorry. You're not supposed to bully me. Pope is supposed to bully me. He's not here. I'm kidding. All right. So last week I was traveling. Tweeted a picture of myself in a suit, just as a joke, throwing some little shade at my friend. Do you guys know Anubis? I think you do. A UK community member, tournament organizer extraordinaire. And I know he has a big event coming up. And I was like, hey, you could get a sharp dressed guy like me at your event. Really good guy. He's like, hey, DM me. So if you haven't heard it, there is a big Gambit Prime tournament going down in the UK later this month and in May. And it's being co-supported by Bungie. They're actually contributing to the event. It's huge.
That's huge. Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. First time.
Yeah. And they want me to go and shoutcast the event live in the UK. So from now until mid-May, I'm doing a little fundraising campaign for travel funds. And with some support, I'm looking forward to going over there and doing the shoutcasting live for the tournament. It's going to be great. I am super excited. Thank you to Belong, the group putting on the tournament. Thank you to Anubis, and thank you to Bungie. It's really cool. I can't wait.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
How do we get to the fundraising? Like, how do we get to the...
I will tweet a link out later. Thank you for that. And I'm going to put it in my stream moving forward throughout April and May.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
And your Twitter is I Cheat at Destiny, right?
That's no spaces.
No spaces.
It was going so well.
Me on Twitter at
420 Bong Ripper for life.
There's the
That's
detail,
awesome, man. I'm really excited. I'm really excited that, first of all, there's a Bungie sponsored competitive tournament happening. It's not what I had hoped for maybe a year and a half ago, but I'm really excited that Bungie sees the viability of a competitive tournament, right? And then I'm really excited that you're going to be doing the shoutcasting for it.
Thank you. There's going to be more people there. Yeah, it's not going to be just me. They're trying to bring in more people. So really looking forward to doing it with other people. And we can lay all our cards on the table. I know a lot of us out there are really hoping that Bungie would also be involved in sponsoring traditional Crucible PvP tournaments. I think we would all like to see that happening. You know what I mean? But hasn't happened yet. This should be a good beacon of hope that, Bungie is willing to put in the work. They're willing to come together with people in the community who are dedicated enough to come together and make events like this happen. So if you're out there and you're looking to start, running PvP tournaments of some type, there's hope. You can put the work in, get it done, and who knows what can happen,
I still remember one of my highlights of Destiny 1 was the tournament at Guardian Con.
That was great.
The last Destiny 1 Guardian Con, where it was just it was off the hook. There was a live audience. Everybody was cheering, yelling. It was an amazing opportunity. And it was coming out of that event, I always hoped obviously there's something here, right? It's the whole crowd was so into it. Obviously there's something here. I'm hoping that Bungie picks up the torch. So now, even though it's not PvP, it's Gambit, which is PvP and PvE combined. I mean, it's PvP. but it's not like the Crucible. Like hopefully like this starts that momentum toward like some kind of competitive environment for Destiny. That'd be amazing.
If you're out there and you like PvP more than Gambit, I feel you, but don't look at this event and be bummed. Try not to throw stones. It might not be for you, but look at this as like, this is a sign of things that can come. Don't be bummed. Be hopeful.
Stepping stones.
There you go.
Ones we want to see.
At the last Guardian Con too, we did get to watch competitive PvP competitive Gambit on the main stage, and it was fun to watch. Like, don't get fooled. It is actually fun to watch top tier players get together, go at it like in a competitive environment in Gambit. It's actually really fun. So hopefully this will be a really fun event. And Anubis, of course, is
great guy. Yeah,
absolutely.
It'll be fun. We need more of those events.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, enough out of my yep.
Well, thanks, Fallout. My gosh.
Hey, no problem.
One thing else.
Only 3 hours to go, Fallout. So you may want to
strap in, buddy.
One thing I also want to mention as well.
Hours,
Pope couldn't be here today, and also Holtz and Watts are currently in Japan at the moment, doing Japanese things, which sounds awesome.
I believe they've joined the Yakuza. So
yeah, I heard something about them joining the Yakuza.
Yeah,
they're the Yakety Yakuzis. Mm-hmm.
What the hell is that?
Holtz.
I think it's a club for people who like anime.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure anime people.
That probably means Holtz got a tattoo though, so he's not going to be able to go to those spas anymore.
Well, knowing Holtz, he'll have thought about getting a tattoo, but it won't. It's going to be a couple years before it actually.
How long can he pull that off with the Yakuza?
But they'll be back next week, right?
Yeah, next week. Yep.
Next week, I believe.
Exactly. So Leopard, how you doing?
Great.
Excellent.
I've listened and heard of Destiny Community Podcast since forever, but I never got invited because it's uncool and unpopular streamer.
It's about time we change that.
Right?
Yeah, it's about time. We've known each other for a long time. And it's
I've been attracted to Tess' voice since I can't remember.
Well, thanks, Leopard.
Honestly, Tefty's who's been keeping you off of the show. He's just so damn jealous of that green screen.
True.
His green screen's nice. Tef's got Manila
Teff, is that your
screen.
actual green screen behind you?
Yeah, you don't see it on stream, but these guys see it in Discord, and it's actually fabric.
Why is it two-tone?
It's two different colors of green screen.
It's just a bunch of yellow Post-it notes.
It works.
Put all over
The reason why I actually have two pieces of fabric that are different colors is because I had one size of a green screen, and then we moved, and then I wanted to be able to have the entire wall green screened. So I went down to Joanne's Fabrics, where I buy all my green screening material, and got what I thought was the same exact color green, and it wasn't. Here, in fact,
it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
I can't tell.
Leopards is way better.
Leopards.
So let's just focus on the important
It's next
details.
level. I'm going to turn off my green screen so people can see on the video for a moment.
Oh no,
that's ghetto. My God. So you can judge. You can cast extreme judging eyes at my green screen.
I don't see a difference. Honestly,
the illusion has been ruined. Yeah, exactly. All right, well,
it looks like Tefty smokes a lot near his green screen.
Looks like it's weird.
It's got like a
turn it around and blow
it's
the
green
smoke
to
right at
me.
the wall.
Yellowed.
You know how
aged.
Yeah. So, anyways, your green screen game is next level.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's the only thing above average about my stream and me.
So do I get to grill Leopard?
You do.
And,
not
that everybody's not.
Grill him? Wow, he's all right.
We're gonna have grilled leopard tonight.
You brought me
all right?
Please, yes.
That sounds
Bring me down a notch.
Take some pressure off of Briar getting eaten.
Yeah, but that was one of my first questions. Oh God, that goes back a few episodes. We did discuss who was going to eat who. Three episodes now, or 2 back from here. Anyway,
like Leopard. Cannibalism.
If you got stranded somewhere, we said like, who would you eat, right? And there was some other questions like.
It's been going on for a while.
The whole cannibalism side of it. We've moved past it, and it's
not really called cannibalism to us anymore.
I haven't moved past it.
Yeah, so that was one of the first big questions was, Leopard, have you been on the show? But Tefty already took care of that one. This is your first time.
It is.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd only been on once before, and then it was like several weeks ago, just since there was a couple slots. Fallout was on, and so it's been awesome to mix the crew. But they kind of have me just in the beginning help, or just I like to talk, so ask questions.
He's steering the ship for us, yeah.
I guess so.
Both players realize
the interview
me and Tefty cannot conduct an interview.
Nah, it's just
so
he totally
help.
We have too many tangents, man. Too many tangents.
The tangents.
Yeah.
Yo, I got a cool leopard story. You guys
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know if he remembers this.
Putting my faith in you.
I can't remember if it was a year or 2 years ago, but
2 years ago, I remember.
Okay,
I know where you're going.
Oh yeah,
he was nice. This was at Guardian Con in Florida, and that was 2 years ago.
2017.
It was the first time that I had been given a creator pass. I had done really good work that year, I guess. I was like, ooh, made it to the show. And they were like, do you want to be part of the table where people line up, or the meeting?
I know where you're going. I remember this. This haunts my memories.
It haunts. You must be thinking of something mildly different. Because
I
remember I was nervous, and I was like, yo, who is gonna want to like nobody knows me. I'm gonna be like, I think they had me next to Dado or something like that, or like everyone's gonna want to meet Dado. No one cares. And I went up and spoke to you because I had watched your stream before. And I told you I was nervous. Right. You were like, yeah, man, it's all good. Like, the people, they just want to like talk to, like, you made it to the creator pass, so people like they're gonna know who you are. Relax, like it's gonna be fine. Don't be like, I don't know why I was like really nervous about it. He calmed me down, a pat on the back, and then we shot the shit about some other things, and I had a great day.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I was like, this guy's all right. I like this guy.
Guardian Con is like that is one of the best places because you get to meet all these people you're familiar with. I think I've met many of you there now, but also just all of the Guardians out there. That's what it's about. It's not even about the tournaments and the games. Like certainly that's the core of some stuff to do, but just honestly just talking to people and hanging out. But so back to Leopard. Last year I was checking your Twitter out. I'd been following you for years now, but I never realized that I don't know when I caught it, but that you were moving to be a full-time streamer, and you quit your job last year. Is that what happened? And now you're a full-time streamer?
That is correct. So for 11 years, I've been a software developer.
Wow.
In the prison industry. So we make software that manages offender data. And for like the last 7 years, I've been working on a very specific software that calculates inmate release dates for the state of California. And we took their legacy system from like 30% accuracy up to like 99% accuracy. And
hold up. There was a 30% accuracy on when inmates were getting released?
Well,
in the software.
Yes, but in the software, there's audits in place. There's human checks to make sure these people don't get out early. Just the automated system was not very accurate. So we came in, and after 5 to 7 years, I improved that up to 99%. And it was a fun job, very challenging, but it's just not as fun as, playing video games all day. And so I'd been streaming since 2014 with Destiny 1. And I eventually talked to my wife, and she has been pushing me to try to do this full time forever. And finally we took the plunge once we have enough money saved up. On December 31st, I'll quit my job. I gave them like 4 months advance notice. Told them I would try this for 6 months. So we're now 4 months in April. And
good for you, man.
In July, we'll see if the money makes sense, if I have enough support to continue. And currently, I'm not sure if I do because it's just it's tough. But I'm much happier now, even though I know I'm making less money, but I am much happier, much less stressed because I'm just playing video games all day, talking to the community.
Yeah,
money isn't everything. I mean, it's a cliche,
no, it's not at all.
It really is true.
Yeah. Similar story. Yeah, I had left my job last year not to pursue full-time streaming. You're more brave than I am. I'm still kind of feeling out those things, but it is.
Well, I have a wife that makes way more money than me, so it's a lot easier.
Stick with it.
That would help.
Then we're going to decide now. You've got
That's
longer
what we
than
call
July,
it.
dude. You got longer than July. You at least go till Christmas. Give yourself the stress free, and you're going to make it too. You got over 50,000 followers on Twitch already, right? So
yeah,
great.
It's great.
Awesome.
I wish she could just make enough. If she could make enough money for me to just not make money at all, that'd be great. But she's really slacking, and
tell your wife to pick it up.
She sounds like she needs to work more while you stream more. Everything will work out. So what's your, if people haven't checked you out yet, a couple things. When do you tend to stream? Do you have a schedule? And what's your hook? What do people expect when they come by?
So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Leopard Stealth. On Twitch, I'm Leopard. I stream every day or Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. Eastern to 5:30 p.m. So 10-hour stream, and then normally that's it.
Wow.
And on the weekends from 7:30 a.m. to around 2 p.m. Eastern. We have 2 kids, so we try to schedule it so it's like I'm helping get the kids ready in the morning, and I get them home from school at night or in the afternoon, and it's just what makes the most sense for us. Just one day stream, long haul. And right now, so originally back in 2014, I just played Destiny on and off, probably 1 to 2 days a week as far as streaming. I played it every day, but as far as streaming is concerned, I could only stream it 1 or 2 days a week. But with going full time and how I'm not into Destiny 2 as much as I was with Destiny 1, I play a plethora of games now, and anything from Fortnite to Apex to Sea of Thieves to Division 2. I've been playing Destiny 2 the last couple of weeks just because I knew this podcast was coming up and I didn't want to be a total Destiny noob, and so I upped the Destiny content a little bit for the last couple of weeks. So I'm over 690 light. I played a lot of Revelry, but normally I'd probably default back to Fortnite just because my sort of shtick is I have this thing called Backseat Gamers, which is where I make fun of myself while I game because I call myself not the best gamer and I make plenty of mistakes. So usually after I die in a Fortnite game, I'll make fun of myself pretending to be a different character, and it's, I think, pretty unique content that you don't really see on Twitch. And that's kind of sort of the draw that I think people enjoy in my channel, because rarely do you see someone trying to take on the persona of someone else and then go back to their normal self during the stream.
Yeah.
And people really seem to enjoy it. And I can't really do that as well in any other genre other than Battle Royale. It really fits that game type.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's funny to hear you say that because you're actually pretty good from what I've seen. But
you
can make fun of yourself as well, which is the point. Better than me.
Good, though?
Better than me.
Better
That's
than
the
you,
point.
sure. But I play 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
And when you compare me to someone that's a ninja or a Tfue in Fortnite, I'm way down the list. And so I feel so below average that I do make the dumbest mistakes and I die all the time. So I make fun of that. And that sort of, not only does that keep me grounded, but it also I think makes people able to relate to me more, because when I do make fun of myself, I bring up very good points, because I'm a noob when it comes to PC gaming, because I've been playing Halo and Destiny 1 on PS4 and Xbox for 20 years, and recently I made the switch to PC gaming, and I make just the dumbest mistakes because I just don't have the muscle memory that I used to have with controllers. And I choke so hard, and it's so easy to make fun of myself because I make the dumbest decisions when I'm trying to do these things in these games, and people can really relate to that.
Yeah. That's great. I was just gonna say we need more of that on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. What was your transition like? So you started off streaming Destiny, and then you decided I don't like Destiny 2 as much. I want to start branching out to other games. What was your transition like to being more variety?
So Destiny 1 year 3, we're waiting for Destiny 2 to come out, and I knew Destiny 2 was going to be on PC. I think we knew that by early 2018. We knew that.
Yeah.
So I started playing a lot of. Well, at first I got a dual PC setup, which is I had a gaming PC and a stream PC, and I started playing PlayerUnknown Battleground just to get used to the whole idea of even trying to play PC gaming and keyboard and mouse. And I was terrible. And then GuardianCon rolled around, and that was April. And then GuardianCon rolled around in 2018. I think it was in June or July. and Dr. Lupo came up and offered me a Horitac Pro, which is a keypad that has a thumbstick on it, which was a great transition for me from controller to keyboard mouse. And I mapped the thumbstick on my left hand to WASD, so I'm able to use a mouse for aiming and then a thumbstick for movement, and then I have 25 buttons for just like a keyboard. And once I was able to use that after Guardian Con, I realized that's what I needed, because I could not get over the fact that a normal keyboard mouse setup, you use 3 fingers for movement. You always have to like sacrifice, if I want to click that button, I can't move left. I want to click that button, I can't move forward. This thumbstick allows me to always click buttons whenever.
Sure.
Yeah. And so PlayerUnknown Battleground until Destiny 2 came out, and then once Destiny 2 came out on PS4, I played that nonstop. I think I had a 32-hour stream when it first came out.
Wow.
And then Leviathan Raid, and then finally came out on PC. I played it for probably 2 or 3 weeks, and then probably December 1st, I realized I couldn't keep out the grind, so I switched over to I finally tried Fortnite, and on like December 1st, 2018, and fell in love with the game. I regretted not having tried it earlier, because I absolutely loved it.
Awesome. In terms of like games though, looking before that, like what's your favorite game of all time? Do you have one?
Halo 2, 1v1.
Great answer.
Warlock. Carbine start, or human on map.
I second that emotion.
So you've been.
I actually worked for that's the MLG settings for 1v1 back in like 2007, 2008, or 2006, 2007. I worked for MLG back in 2008 as
really?
Yeah, on the video on demand team.
Oh, that's
as a graphics coordinator.
Everyone in the chat who's very young, what is that? This is like the days of pre-Twitch. MLG, they were like they were like trying to pave the way for watching esports online as they happen, because it was like really grassroots tournament. Like they would happen in basements. People would bring setups, and they were trying to broadcast it. So MLG had a video on demand team that you could like subscribe to and get footage of the tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, I was hired in 2008. I flew all over the country along with working my real job. So I could only do it a year before I realized that it was taking too much away from my real job. But it definitely started the spark to wanting to stream, because 3 or 4 years later, after I got married back in 2013, I was like, okay, now that I'm married, what's out there in the gaming world? Oh, Bungie's making a game. What's it called? Oh, Destiny. Okay, that's going to be cool. Streaming is really cool. I should try to get into that. And finally, the technology was there to actually pursue it, because back in 2007, 2008, you couldn't really stream as an individual because the technology, the hardware just wasn't up to speed yet. You had to have tens of $1,000s of equipment to even attempt it. And so by
the upload speed,
you're right.
Right. It was so restricted, and there was no platforms for it. But by then it was finally available. So with Destiny coming out, I started to pursue it, and that's where I got the start.
Awesome. And then where does your name come from? I always ask that of guests. Is it safe for work?
That's a good sign.
Does Leopard still sound like a really cool name that you'd want to have?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stealthy Leopard.
Yeah, no, not really. No.
Why not?
So
I like it.
So in the 1900s, I was referred to as RSF_SWAT Cat, because that was like my 12-year-old name when I played Rogue Spear.
SWAT Cat in reference to the show SWAT Cats?
The Cartoon Network show SWAT Cats.
Dude, I'm liking you more and more with each passing minute.
SWAT Cat, T-Bone and Razor, bro.
Yes, the Radical Squadron.
Radical Squadron.
Only 2 seasons. Bring it back.
So my cousin was named T-Bone.
Yeah,
I was named SWAT Cats. It wasn't the same. Oh yeah, but it was a great show. So in 1999, I was transitioning from middle school to high school. I thought SWAT Cats is lame. I need something cooler. High school mascot was Tiger, and I really needed an AOL Instant Messenger name because that's where all the cool kids chatted to each other.
Of course.
And so I was like, okay, let me find a cool Tiger-related name. Tiger Power, taken. Tiger Strength, taken. Damn it. So I then tried Leopard Strength, available, but leopards aren't known for their strength. What are they known for? They're known for their stealth.
Yes.
Leopard stealth available, snagged it, and then from
history.
2000 on, I've been known as Leopard stealth. So 19 years now, I am Leopard stealth. I dropped stealth for Twitch back in probably 2017. And hopefully, if I become popular enough, I can drop the stealth on Twitter and Instagram or whatever else. But getting the name Leopard is pretty difficult on social media platforms in today's world.
Right. It's got to be. That's cool, though. I like that. Maybe real fast as well. What, off stream, just for playing games, if you do ever do that, or if you're looking forward to playing anything you want in the future, what are you looking forward to for games?
Off stream doesn't really happen for me because of, currently right now I'm trying to go full-time streamer, and so I'm trying to expose myself as much as possible. I'm trying to create as much content as I can. So
50 hours a week. You're playing a lot of Fortnite, a lot of, I assume, Apex and stuff like that.
Right. Saturday is my variety stream day, or variety game day. And lately I've done things like the Halo campaigns, Uncharted, Last of Us. Right now I'm doing the puzzle game Witness, which is free on the Epic Game Store. I'm like 200 puzzles in. Super loving that, but man,
game's great.
Is it not exciting to watch it all? Someone staring like a screen of mazes,
a bunch of colors,
to try to figure out what the hell's going on. But I love it. Like, I love those kind of games. If I were to play a game off stream, it'd probably be a single player game where people usually play it for the story experience. I've also done God of War. Whenever I don't stream and I play games in the living room with the kids, it's Witcher, which I know is Witcher 3, which is a terrible game.
What?
The kids around.
Oh,
they're not looking at the screen.
They're Junior
I'm
watching
sitting there.
Daddy seduce this wench.
No, they're playing with toys, and I'm sitting there playing Witcher 3 up at the big screen on my gaming PC. But that's the only game I play on stream.
Statue's penis.
But what about in the future though? Are you looking forward to anything like a new game? You're like, oh, if I could play anything, I just can't wait to play this.
I mean, I hate to ride the bandwagon, but right now it's Borderlands 3. I mean,
of course.
There you go.
This is the Destiny Community Podcast. We're all about looter shooters.
No,
I didn't get on the Borderlands. Tefty's been all about Borderlands 2 lately.
Love it.
So as far as Borderlands 2 is concerned, during the pre-Destiny 1, when I was waiting for it to come out, I was all in the Destiny Reddit, DTG, before Destiny 1 came out. And I was like, what is another looter shooter out there to play? And I started playing Borderlands 2 with my best friend. And I got into it super late. So that's like what, early 2014, mid 2014. And because I didn't get in on the early stages of Borderlands 2, I never got super into it. I didn't have people to play with. And so I only played like probably 30, 40 hours of it. I can see the draw of it. I can see how interesting the loot is in Borderlands 2. But I guess because I didn't have people to play with, I never stuck with it long enough. But I can see if I play Borderlands 3 right when it comes out, it'd probably be something that draws me in, like Division 2 has drawn me in. Just because interesting loot makes or breaks a looter shooter. Like,
it really does.
Like with Anthem, I played 50 or 60 hours right when it first came out, and it killed me because the loot was just so meh. I couldn't find a reason to want to continue to play it. Whereas Division 2, I played a month or so after the Anthem came out, and I keep going back to it, and I can't stop going back into it.
Perfect segue, because I was going to ask you, you love looters, obviously, but are you playing Division 2? It sounds like you are. 1 out of 10. How's Division 2 feeling for you? Casual answer. He's going to...
No, I give it a... I think I give it a 9 out of 10.
I'm putting that on Metacritic. Leopard Stealth.
The Leopard Stealth from AOL Instant Messenger is saying 9.
My favorite thing about Division 2 is that they throw the best loot at you nonstop, which is really cool. They give you the high ends nonstop. Like, you get high ends all the time. And then it's your job to try to make a bill out of it, to try to figure out what are you going for? Are you going for like a health steal? Are you going for max DPS? Are you going for just a tank? And I don't feel like you have that freedom in other looter shooters like Destiny or definitely not Anthem. And it's fun because when you kill something, there's the yellow drop that you've been searching for. Is it the one you want? Oh, maybe I'll save it for later. You don't know. Because maybe later on you may use it for something else. And so you constantly get this feeling of like of a positive loot drop, whereas in like Destiny or Anthem, it sometimes it usually is not something you're looking for. Like right now in Destiny, I'm trying just grinding highlight. So I do a powerful reward activity, and it's not something that increases my light level. So I'm like, throw it away. I don't even care about it. I don't even care what the rolls are on it because I just want light level. That's it.
I realize that.
Whereas in Division, I don't care much about that.
Yeah, Division and Borderlands, because of how much loot is dropping all the time, I realize it's more like shopping for loot. And like, of course, you're not picking up or you're taking everything because there's just too much of it. But also, you're hunting for that special buy where you're like, oh my god, look what I found. It's like thrift shop hunting. Going through and not knowing what's going to be in there. And when you find something really special, you're like, check out what I pulled. You're not going to believe this. Whereas Destiny is like, you're in a town with no shops half the time. And you're like, you're starved for that drop.
Which is weird though, Tefty, because I feel like Destiny had that. Like back in year 2 of Destiny 1, when everybody was looking for specific roles on a sniper rifle or on a hand cannon. Like in the past, Destiny has had
the tower would refresh every week, and that was like your shopping trip. Be like, let's see what's in the stores.
Right. Yeah. That was a great feeling.
Yeah.
This time, the only time you see that is when like a new big event will come out, like a raid, and there's like raid.
Yeah, exactly.
Like remember when Last Wish first came out, and then like you're like, oh, that guy's got the thing. What is that called again? Oh, the 1,000 voices. He's got one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's still there, but like it.
Yeah, a lot fewer and far between.
It's not always there. Yeah.
Because I definitely get that feeling. Like in Division, I've found myself overwhelmed with all the options. I'm like, I don't want to lose a build.
Too many.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to lose out on a build, but at the same time, you can't. You can't hoard all that stuff, and I have
your
I obviously have a problem
with
that in games that I play.
That's my only I think Division 2 is amazing. Is my only gripe is there's so much upkeep, and especially as a streamer. But even putting that aside, like it slows you down. You're like, I gotta like go through my stuff. Hold on, and it happens all the time for me. Like no matter how much I clear, because there's so many drops, it's this feeling of like, oh, it's a loathsome task to like make sure you don't get rid of like a sweet roll. Because like I actually have an LMG that's really good, and I've not got that roll ever since. So you got to be careful.
Yeah. And that's why I end up holding on to it too much, and I get like I get paralysis from too much loot because I don't want to like get rid of something.
Right, but doesn't that bother you about the game that you feel like you're constantly in maintenance after you run like several missions and strongholds, and then you're like, I gotta go through my stuff.
I think Destiny's always turned into like, if you're really hardcore about it, it turns into like an inventory simulator 2000, where you're just like trying to figure out what you want and what you don't want, and that becomes like 50% of the game rather than just shooting stuff in the head. You're just sitting around in dim trying to figure out what to delete and what not to delete.
Yeah, but I found some relief in looking back on Destiny. I was like, oh, it's way easier than Division 2 to make a decision. I'm like, I'm trying to hold on to everything because as much as you can like move stuff around, because things don't sort of drop with a certain like predictability, you're not sure what you have until you really sit down and like really compare. And there's no easy way to be like, oh, this steady hand, do I actually have one of those on an LMG? Like, I don't know, give me a few to go through 100 items. But anyway,
I also like that though, even though it causes some loot paralysis for me, where I'm like, guys, I can't do this on stream. I have to do this off stream because I feel like this is going to be a really boring 1 hour.
Have you ever thought about letting stream do it for you?
No, that way. Sounds bad.
No way.
Hell no. Oh my god, that sounds like my nightmare.
I'm sorry, chat. It's never going to happen.
Oh Lord, no.
But I do like the fact that it actually forces you to learn. To learn the ropes of the sandbox, because that's, for me, looter shooters, that's like 50% of it is like understanding the game.
Yeah,
you know,
it really is. I mean, obviously, some of the best players, the best min-maxers, they're the ones who are good and I guess efficient at it. But I can't wrap my head around it sometimes. Like, it just feels like a task. But I get really panicky when the screen is still and I'm streaming though. So that's just me. I'm like, I can't even like think straight. I'm like, I just gotta do something. But you can't. You're paralyzed, like you said. Yeah. Anyway, back to Leopard.
Streaming is easy though.
Is it? You find it easy?
No work. All you do
it's
is just
easy.
play a game.
60 hours a week over
Everybody
here.
can do it.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's actually mentally exhausting, right? It's fun, but
It's physically
mentally
exhausting too.
Yeah, in different ways. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I wouldn't give it up, right? I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but
No, of course not.
after you finish a
Depends
session,
on
you're
the
like,
day.
yeah. I always describe.
Most
Actually, I'd be
times.
curious. Let's go around real fast, unless you want to pass on the question. But how would you describe streaming to someone who hasn't and doing it, a lot, and sort of the feeling of it? And I'll give you my example. I always describe to people that it's like sitting down and I'm eating, but there's people at the window and they're like looking at you while you're eating, and they're sort of like they're even you can hear them through the window, and they're like, I don't know, man. Why don't you order this and blah blah.
No ketchup,
but
bro.
That's how it feels to me. But it's not just sitting down for a nice meal. It doesn't matter how good the meal is. They're literally right there. But like Leopard, do you have those kinds of feelings or?
No, I do all the time. You're just doing your thing, and people shit on you all the time. And you're like, well, but I'm just doing my thing, and then you're like, well,
Right.
okay, but I'm just trying to have fun. Let's, and then people just come in, and you're like, oh, ban. Especially when you play Fortnite. I call Fortnite daycare.
Wow.
Because you're constantly taking care of 12-year-olds. I mean, it's a great solution if you can't afford daycare to just send your kids over to twitch.tv/anyone streaming Fortnite, and you can just have your kid be distracted by Fortnite streams all day. No, it's people don't understand when you do it all day every day. It's not what you think it is, and it's I agree. It's people looking at you and making comments on what you're doing all the time, and it gets to the point where you miss just gaming for the sake of gaming, because now it's something. There's like that extra element, and you don't want it. You don't want the extra element to affect what you're doing in the game, but it does.
There's a problem. There's a problem anytime that you try and make a hobby a profession, where you can actually ruin your enjoyment of the hobby.
That's true.
Like, it is very true. Like you can look at any hobby and people who have made it a profession, and they'll say, I never do this unless I'm getting paid for it anymore. Like, it's not my hobby anymore. It's just my job. And you ruin that hobby for yourself. Like, I used to play golf with a bunch of guys who then went on to, teach golf. They don't play golf anymore. They only teach golf. Like, I think the same is true with a lot of streamers. The other side of that, though, is with streaming, is that I don't find games as enjoyable when I'm not streaming as I used to. Like having the chat a lot of times feels like I have a bunch of friends sitting on the couch next to me and we're enjoying a game together. And when I'm playing a video game by myself, I don't have anybody to share that experience with, and it feels kind of lonely.
Mm-hmm.
What a great you've mastered it then. I'm always panicking. I mean, you would never tell. But meaning for me, it's actually the outside of the backseat gaming, which is really tough for anybody to, ignore, and you ignore a lot of it. Even if you just miss something, you're like, well, I know, but the way you're saying it makes it sound like you think I'm an idiot. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, I ran by an item. But you process so much information as a streamer that, mentally it can be taxing, I think, on a lot of people.
Yeah. I was going to say.
Especially when you're an introvert.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a weird thing, because in order to want to stream and to keep doing it, you have to be both introverted and extroverted at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's already a weird juxtaposition to put on a personality.
Right.
Right? Because every day, some days you want to be by yourself. And
Tefty, where are you at on the introverted, extroverted?
It depends on the day, because sometimes I'm really introverted. I'm a musician, so like I have those like internal creative like desires that sometimes I just don't want to share anything because I want to be introverted, and some days I want to be super social. So like depending on the day, it can be really awkward for me sometimes, where I'm like, well, I should hit that live button, but today I might feel a little more introverted. It's weird. But I was gonna say in terms of mental exhaustion, for somebody who hasn't streamed, it could be like, don't take this the wrong way from what talking during movies, but like imagine if every time you watched a movie, you were also explaining your thoughts about what's going on during the movie while processing and watching the movie and having the story unfold.
Like my wife.
I mean, that can happen too. Yeah, Memes likes to talk a lot, and I every time I'm like, babe, we cannot talk during this
really
show.
interesting one.
It has to be quiet right now.
Sometimes people don't realize how difficult it is. Like I'll be streaming PvP and I'll make a total boneheaded play. Like I'll go into a room and like in what territories? What is it? Control. Yeah, brain fart there. Control in Destiny. I'll go in and there'll be an enemy on the territory, and I'll just think that it's like a teammate, and I'll stand next to him on the territory because you're doing 10 things at once.
I've done that.
You're DMing your mods. You're talking about the TWAB or whatever.
Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to monitor a conversation that you don't necessarily want to jump into, but like you have to make sure something weird isn't going on.
And the guy shotguns me in the face, and my chat is like, "Fallout, are you literally a potato? Like you make PvP videos on YouTube? It's like you don't understand. It's like 10, and like you're spinning like 10 plates on sticks, you know.
That's where it gets hard to do your job, where you're like, I know, I'm just gonna ignore it because like they don't know what you know, which is it's very different. But I think it goes without saying we all like love doing it and are privileged for any one person that wants to tune in and watch.
100%.
I just thought it was interesting, and the reason I asked it is I know Tefty, you do a ton. I forget how much Briar and Fallout do it, but you're doing like almost 60 hours or what 50+ hours a week, Leopard, streaming consistently. Yeah, Teft, you're in there somewhere too. I've asked. It's a ton, man.
I will say though that before I was doing, working a 45 hour a week job and then trying to stream 20 to 30 hours a week. So this is definitely
feels a lot different now.
Quote unquote easier, but it's
still busy. Yeah. But but anyway, I'd have a lot more questions, I think, for Leopard. But I know we want to talk Destiny, so I'd throw.
Yeah, we got to talk some Destiny for sure. We got to talk about the Revelry, and we got to talk about the PlayStation 5.
Oh right.
Oh yeah.
Let's go PS5 first.
All right, PS5 first. I got one right behind me. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Beautiful.
Totally
what that ring is.
Zoom in. How'd you get that?
Legit.
Looks great.
That's a black square with an S on it. I don't know what that is, but it's
it.
No,
it's a 5. Oh, it's the 5.
That's a 5.
It's a bold move.
5. I get it.
I really want to get the branding right on this.
Did you really make that just for that joke?
Well, yes, but the joke was made for a YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
It was the thumbnail for a YouTube video.
Because I was like, that's set up for waiting for an hour into the show to make that joke. Like, wow, you're a patient man.
Wired.com had an article this week where they interviewed Mark Cerny about the PlayStation 5. And while Sony and Mark Cerny didn't want to call it the PlayStation 5, they want to call it the next generation Sony console. I think for the purposes of this discussion, we could call it the PlayStation 5 because it's the next Sony console. There's a lot of really cool hardware specs and features announced by Sony in this interview. The processor is going to be a Ryzen Zen 2 architecture, 8-core processor. They're going to use the Navi architecture for the graphics card, which if you're not following like PC gaming too much, what that means is it's very high-end. It's a very high-end processor and graphics card that isn't even released yet, right? Both of these things are expected to come out for PCs this summer. So, pretty high-end stuff that's not even available yet. They also said that it's going to feature ray tracing and a SSD that's faster than anything that's available for the PC market at this point, which is pretty crazy.
How about the resolution?
Up to 8K.
That's just output.
That's what everyone.
Yeah, like I would expect maybe like Sony's next video service will
be an
output 8K. But like
they're
gaming,
just future-proof.
8K.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the problems with the PlayStation 4. I thought at launch was that it didn't support 4K.
Yeah, but it takes time. But the one thing they didn't mention, unfortunately, was any discussion of if they want to, make sure games run at 60 or 120 or whatever.
Right.
I think that's up to the developer, just like it is now, right? It's like if the developer wants to take advantage of ray tracing, then I would expect to see 30 FPS kind of max.
Ugh.
But if they,
I hope not.
So
I would imagine
things that I'm very happy
the
about,
highest end PC hardware.
the things that I'm very, very happy about to hear is that they're embracing like modern PC architecture and technology. Like it doesn't sound like they're going with second or third or 2 or 3 years ago type of architecture. Sounds like they're trying to adopt modern current stuff right now, so they don't hopefully have these issues
get dated.
Yeah, where it's like you have these hot new games come out and they're just struggling to maintain 30 FPS because that just sucks, you know?
Yeah. Well, with the 8-core Ryzen processor, right? This thing is a lot of PC gamers are looking at this coming out this summer thing, and this is finally going to be the point where AMD catches up to Intel as far as like clock speeds go, and specifically when we talk clock speeds in PC gaming, we're talking about FPS, right? Is the higher the clock speed goes on your processor, the faster your FPS can go, and that's been one of the downfalls for the previous generation of consoles, right? Is that they had really powerful graphics, but the processor was kind of letting them down, so you weren't getting high frame rates. You're getting really beautiful 4K graphics at 30 FPS.
Yeah, that's some of it. I mean, the people always over maximize and use too much, and they overdo it. That 30 it was acceptable. I feel like when it was launching with consoles and stuff. But I was surprised as we hit into Destiny 2. Right, I was like, oh man, we're still we didn't make it to 60. I just think it's a huge I guess we're dealing with it, and I know it's not like it's not terrible. It's just once you go 60, you're like shooters should be at 60. I mean, it's almost no contest at this point. So
8K 30 FPS sounds like having a really beautiful
even 4K
car that goes like 20 miles an hour.
Exactly. Surface
Surface
like Lamborghini Countach.
Yeah.
Nobody needs that. But
just saying.
It's an
you got to remember this will be.
Don't take it on the freeway ever.
You got to remember it might potentially be coming
Take it around town
next year. So Navi architecture is planned for this year, but it's also the architecture. And I read a little bit, and it's you never really know, but sure it might feature some of the ray tracing. I read some stuff sort of saying it might be a little closer to what the 1080 is, quote unquote, but with some of these newer features. Now, if you're looking at power, but 1080 is quite powerful. And again, as you pointed out, you're offloading a lot these days, physics. So stuff that CPU used to do. So now you also have the 8-core CPU on top of it. So I mean, when you think about selling a $400 or $500 machine next year or whatever, maybe early March 21, that's still a lot, and that's why the 8K thing is silly.
You think it's going to be $400 or $500?
Yeah,
that's a lot of PC power.
I mean, how else? 8-core Ryzen with next gen architecture right now.
SSD that they claim is faster than anything available for PC was right now.
That's the real reason, I believe, above all. I mean, that was the big thing that surprised me. Everything else, I was like, yeah, of course you're going to have all these things. But wait. SSD is super important to them.
They've gotten so much cheaper in the past year.
Yeah. But they're still
I feel like they're
expensive.
table stakes. I feel like they're table stakes at this point. Like
a 1 terabyte SSD, what is averaging 100, 125, I think, if I'm seeing it.
Yeah, a year ago, I think it was 250.
Yeah, it's come down, and you're right. By next year, maybe it's 60 but that's when you get inside consoles, they need to make a margin on this stuff. But anyway,
that's the thing. I wonder if they're actually going to 400 to 500. It sounds like a deep cut. Like they're not going to be making any money on that for a few years.
Oh, you think it's going to be more expensive?
Yeah, I do. I think at least 600.
I thought.
But they never make money on the console.
See Sony making that mistake again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leopard. What do you think, man?
Well, they never make money on the console. It's always an accessory. They always undersell the price of the console just to put it in people's hands, and then they get the accessories, get the games out, and the exclusives out, which is what get people to adopt the console for a cheap price, and then buy the accessories, buy the games, which is what makes their margin.
That's sometimes true, sometimes not. But early on, it's more likely to be true. Later on, they expect to make money on the console too.
But also, PS4 launched with hardware that I think was considered mid-tier PC hardware at the time, right? Wasn't it?
It was not impressive.
The CPU is always trash.
Yeah, it was just it was like the CPU was struggling already at launch.
But not for the
price. The hard drive is disk. I mean, I replaced my hard drive back in 2014 with Destiny and put SSD in it and loved it for Destiny 1 because the character screen actually came up within 2 seconds versus 4 seconds. Like, how can you not play Destiny 1 on PS4 without an SSD? I don't know.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah. Now that it's standard, it's great.
If they're going to put those specs into a hardware, I just don't know if they're going to be able to get it down to like $500. I'd be surprised.
In my opinion, it's unprecedented that somebody would ever go as high as that these days. Because competition is way too high. I mean, you got Stadia in the cloud, and they're going to sell you $70. I know, sell you a $70 controller, but Xbox is going to do their xCloud. They're going to do something, and who knows? They might have. For all we know, the new Xbox One S All Digital Edition might serve as an entry level to new Xbox games in the cloud. But the competition's bigger than ever.
Microsoft's also got something really interesting where they have their kind of Game Anywhere thing going on, where you buy a game and it's good on, it's good on the Xbox, it's good on the PC. Mm-hmm. If they move that forward into the next generation Xbox, that means that a lot of your games, even going back to the Xbox 360, are going to be playable on your next generation Xbox, where PlayStation doesn't really have that going on, right? If you have a PlayStation 3 version of, I'm trying to think of a game, Last of Us. Last of Us it's a different version of the PlayStation 3. It's a different version on the PlayStation 4. Is it going to be a different version on the PlayStation 5? Or am I going to be able to play PlayStation 4 games on my PlayStation 5?
Didn't they confirm that?
Are they going to have upgraded graphics like they do on the Xbox One X?
Yeah.
Didn't they confirm
they did say
that
it was backwards compatible?
Yeah.
But that's different.
Compatible,
than a
but
new
is it going to be like
running
upgraded?
Remastered.
Oh, I see.
Like if I buy a game for Xbox, or I'm sorry, for PlayStation 4, right before the PlayStation 5 comes out, am I going to own the PlayStation 5 version of that game, or am I going to own the PlayStation 4 version of that game?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you think all this means for Destiny on new generation of consoles? Like, is it leaning towards PS5 or the Stadia? Or
it's going to be a
by the way, they said
Sony 1 year exclusive on PS5.
Yeah. Oh God.
Totally joking. Please don't grill me.
Way.
Don't.
He's joking.
Don't.
That's right.
Light
Did
the
everybody
fire under
see
me.
that during Inside Xbox this week? Phil Spencer confirmed he's testing in alpha Destiny 2 on the xCloud, which I thought was amazing to hear that they've got the current code working. That they clearly worked with Bungie, in my opinion. I just don't think it's as easy as plugging it in. Maybe Leopard knows more. You were a coder, I believe, right? So I don't know you know about the server side, but he said he was playing Destiny 2 on the road as well as Crackdown on his phone with the controller on xCloud.
Oh, well, I'll tell you that I'm not a game developer. But, okay, so Stadia was announced from Google. A huge announcement. Today is the first day I've ever heard of xCloud.
Really? Oh, yeah. Check it out. It's funny because they've been they're not treating it as their next generation exactly, but they got out the door and said xCloud is going to be, the Azure.
We also have a
Stadia.
Stadia.
They said it long before, in my opinion. It was like they released a trailer earlier this year, but it seems like forever ago now. I think, I guess I
don't know if it flopped, but I never saw it.
It was all white background and them talking about the future on the Azure server cloud. So it wasn't a sexy Xbox announcement, but if you read between the lines, xCloud was coming, and they said games in the cloud.
But you can't put FPS on clouds. Like, it's just not. The experience.
Stadia showed us Doom, supposedly. You
can't play PvP on the cloud. I mean,
Leopard, I want to hear you say why, though. Specifically, why?
It's latency. There's so much latency, input delay between when you move your controller stick or move your mouse. I watched the Stadia thing when they had some sort of PvE game up, and you could see the guy. He took the mouse and he went really slowly across the screen with it. And you could still see he moved the mouse, and it you're like, you can't play that game.
It's totally playable, yeah, honest. Yeah,
no, it's totally playable. If you play it like grandma, it's totally fine. No, you can't play like a high paced witch shooter with that. There's no way. And so it's great for games that aren't FPS, but I mean that's what my main experience is in. So
if they could fix that one issue, there's nothing else that stands in the way.
If you can fix physics,
yeah,
that is a big issue. But if
you
they
can redo the entire infrastructure of a nation, no problem.
All you gotta do is put servers in everybody's basement, and we're good.
Exactly. Right.
That's fine. I can do that.
It's just so everybody understands, right? and I know most gamers do, and it's repeating the obvious at this point, but literally what happens, right? You press the thumbstick, it sends a signal out over the wire or over Bluetooth, wireless, or whatever it is to your console, which processes it, which sends it out, over the internet, effectively to YouTube. Let's just say that in this case, it sends it to YouTube, and YouTube picks all that up as well as the game information and encodes a frame of video and sends it back to you to look at. That's basically what's going on, right?
It sounds like witchcraft to me.
Latency is so important to gamers too that some people are unhappy with Bluetooth controllers. They prefer them plugged into the console directly.
For sure, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
mean, just your
I've been
game
stickler
mode.
of it for years.
Wired controller.
Yeah, I prefer my mouse and keyboard wired.
Well, it's clear that people are skeptics of the server stuff, but maybe going back to it, like to me, PlayStation 5, really what I liked about it was that I got the sense that Sony's saying, look, we know everybody's talking Stadia in the cloud and Nintendo's on the go and Xbox, like sure, but we're also the lead. We've sold a bazillion PS consoles, and we're gonna stick to what I heard was epic cinematic in your living room, high-end graphics in your living room, and we're also going to do the other stuff. But that's why I do envision, Last of Us 2 or Death Stranding and these super high-end games that are in your living room at 4K at 60 frames, hopefully, or even 1080, just an amazing looking. And I'm okay with that. I think that's.
Fran, do you think
great.
that's why they're not going to E3 this year? Is because they don't want to? They don't have any games to show off for PS4, and the games that are going to come next are going to be next-gen games.
I think it's a combination. I think they don't have as much to show, but I think ultimately, having been to almost, or maybe I've been to 20 E3s now, it's a very expensive show, and it's a strong arm kind of feeling that you got to buy the booth, and it takes a ton of energy. And Nintendo, boy, they really got ahead of the curve and just said, we're just going to do it online on YouTube, and the word has gotten out. Ultimately, I think people have looked at Nintendo Direct and they're like, you know what, this probably makes a lot more sense. And Microsoft's the last one standing. On the opposite side, Microsoft's in a really interesting position, and they said that this week too. We're going to be at E3. We're going to celebrate gaming. We're the only ones there now. So I think that's exciting. They're going to come out swinging and say, we got xCloud, we got Xbox One X2 or whatever. It's going to be interesting to see the Titans clashing in that sense.
So
do you think Microsoft announces? Do you think Microsoft announces the Xbox, 4?
Yeah.
At E3.
X2.
Yeah.
Xbox 2? Xbox.
Now they're going
One,
all the way to 4.
1.5?
I know.
I mean,
the
there
last
was
one was
the
Xbox.
All the way to 4.
The 360,
Xbox
the
Dos
one.
Equis.
Xbox 361?
The Dos Xbox.
Maybe it'll be like a Z-Box or something.
Z-Box.
Please don't.
Z-Boz.
Z-Box.
It'll be 2 Z's, exactly.
What do you guys?
Now be real,
Are
we talking about this so much because we're too scorned by the pain of the Revelry? Is that why we're going so deep into the PlayStation 5 talk?
Well, no, because this is
New announcement.
This is big.
There's nothing to talk about.
This is the future of a lot of games that's going to happen because these consoles set the tone and the possibilities for
that is true.
The architecture and the graphics and all
I
that.
feel like if you're spending this much money, like depending on how much the PlayStation 5 is, wouldn't you just spend the money on a good gaming PC? Like you said, didn't you think it would be like up to like $600, $700?
It's still more convenient, though.
No.
It's still more convenient. To
Yeah, it's not just a money
console.
thing; it's a convenience thing.
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, because PC
Plug it
gaming's
into your
harder.
TV and you play.
Yeah.
You don't have
both
to
talk at the same time. What?
You plug a console into your TV and just start playing. You don't
That
have
is
to worry
true.
about
Consoles are easy.
viruses. You don't have
PCs
to worry
are hard.
about.
It's true. With PC, you have to set up other stuff too. I guess.
PCs have a lot of
Yeah.
inconveniences that happen, and if you like tinkering, it makes sense. If you don't like tinkering, console's perfect.
It's easy to us, but it's not easy to most people.
Yeah.
Does anybody actually buy a $700 PC? Honestly,
Yeah. No, there's a lot of people.
is that in the history of man ever actually happened?
Some people do.
If you have 700 for a
AMD,
console, you
Radeon.
could save a few more for a decent game.
That's everybody's
right?
budget, but I was like, well, those
guess,
LED fans look really cool too.
I don't know, Leopard.
I think
Leopard,
that market's pretty big, Briar. Honestly.
You were saying you think people can do a $700 PC is fine?
I mean, people do with the AMD and Radeon all the time, but that's just not the way I roll. Intel, NVIDIA all the way. I have a 10 core 6950X for my stream PC with Deca core. I have the 7700K quad core with 1080 Ti, liquid cooling, custom cooling loop on my gaming PC.
How's the RGB?
When you go, what?
How's the RGB?
So all of my PCs are stuck in an equipment closet behind the wall there, behind a sliding door. And
are your fans?
This guy is such a professional.
So I keep all the noise and heat in this room, which has an internal vent that circulates through to my split AC unit,
Custom
so everything
ducting
stays nice and cool.
for the PC exhaust.
Yeah, I built it myself because when I built this house, I didn't think it'd get that hot in there, but it's pretty hot in there. So
well, the other thing about this announcement is if you look at the specs of the PlayStation 5, right? You got an 8-core processor, Navi graphics. Does 8-core processor become the baseline? Like, because games are developed with a platform in mind and a baseline, right? This is the lowest targeted graphics we're going to get. Consoles. 8-core processors all of a sudden become the baseline, the minimum recommended. Like, this doesn't just push up where we expect graphics to go on consoles, but also on PC.
Yeah, exactly. It pushes.
Games to be developed. They talked about Spider-Man and how like they had to limit his speed, web slinging through the city based on how fast they could stream data off of the hard drive. And now you've got an SSD that can supply that much faster. He could move as fast as a jet fighter, and you could still see that stuff loaded to that. So this doesn't just affect how good console games are, because any time that game is dual developed for consoles and PC, all of a sudden PC games get better as well.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, especially with multi-platform development, because consoles, frankly, leave you, dragged down a bit. Not that you can't develop for PC, but you're trying to do everything once, and how high do you go here and there? And optimization, you do see the difference with something like God of War comes out. You're like, oh my God, like it looks so amazing. It's not even close to like a 1070 or 1060, or it looks incredible. And so you can see what people can do with optimization. So yeah, I think when you get stuff a lot closer, but that's what happens in the beginning. So late 2020 or 2021, sure. But by then, as Leopard was just saying, it's like he's got a 10 core now. And, next thing you know, a 10 core.
For streaming.
Yes, but my point is that come 2 years from now, that'll be a little more common for people. It'll be because everything's starting to ship with 8.
Well, you can buy $100 I think $70 right now. You can go to Micro Center and buy an 8-core Ryzen Gen 1 processor for $170.
Pretty fast.
Taking my limited programming experience and taking that into gaming, I would say that it's to go more than 4-core. It gets pretty complicated to try to multi-thread all these different processes that are happening in game. And so I've always felt like quad-core was kind of the sweet spot. And so
I don't know, man.
You start dumping in 8-core, 10-core
Origins, and everybody's talking about how they're getting like awful frame rates, and I'm running on an 8-core processor. It's Intel, so it's still got the high, clock speed. But I was running an 8-core. I'm like, I'm not having any of these issues.
Yeah, he makes a good point. The optimization is so important, and like we hear it all the time, and even with our OBS and stuff, it's like you might have a 10-core, but how much is taken advantage of? Sometimes you can probably get really high optimization on a 6-core just as good.
I would just say that I super overclock my quad core, and I have great results. But it all comes down to what the developer focuses on. If they focus on whatever hardware the most people are using for the game, then right now it's quad core, but eventually it could be octa-core, but eventually when you have so many processes multi-threaded like that, it gets so complicated for the developer to try to make it efficient that it almost there's just you lose the diminishing returns of that, because there's just so much work in trying to coordinate all those things at the same time. It gets super difficult. But
basically, there's going to be years before it's properly taken advantage of, and the toolkit is there to properly have 8 cores being efficient.
But if that's what everyone has, then that's what they'll focus on, and I'm sure they'll make a good job of it. But right now, it's definitely quad core.
Right.
For the record, I want to clarify. I wasn't saying like, oh yeah, you could get a great gaming PC with $700. I was just trying to say, because you could spend that much on a lot of other stuff. I'm just saying, if you've saved up that much money already, why not continue.
My first car was
a little
$700.
further.
Go 1200. Yeah, because 1200.
I'm just saying.
I don't know, man. I mean,
You gone this far, you
Geo
go
Metro.
That's what I'm saying. Because I definitely spent way more money on mine. I'm not trying to like.
No, it's a fair question. I
Lie
think
to the people at home. You get a great streaming set.
but the real point is, people don't want to. The people that play on their TV and sit on the couch don't want to have to boot a PC up and have a keyboard or whatever. And there's solutions, but it's just a lot.
They want to plug in 2 wires max and call it.
Yeah.
And start playing video games and shoot stuff in the head.
That's the potential appeal of cloud, is that for all that it bothers us, not that I'm saying FPS is in the state it needs to be right now, and I haven't even played a cloud game that works. I mean, it goes all the way back to OnLive and Gaikai, which was bought and turned into PlayStation Now by Sony. It's existed, but the lag input's just not great. But the point is, we're moving towards it. So the potential accessibility of playing, I think of a game like Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah.
That might work on xCloud. And yes, the colors aren't as good as compressed, but there's something there that when you boot your TV up now and, you have your whatever X device from Microsoft that's cheaper, it could be interesting to see where that goes, which isn't about the 8-core and the Navi. And it is. It's in their servers. But it's exciting. Like anything, the specs always sound good, man. But seriously, don't get your hopes up. Stuff will look awesome, but that's why I take it back to something simple. I feel like it's probably close to a 1080 with this new ray tracing stuff and with the SSD benefits, and then you've got an 8-core. That sounds pretty solid. I mean, even years from now, that's going to look pretty darn nice, optimized.
The biggest thing for me is the processor, because when we talked to, I remember there was a lot of developer discussions from Destiny talking about how they have plenty of GPU left underneath the hood, but the issue comes to the processor CPU, where they can't push those frame rates up because there's too many things that they're calculating that are not graphics related, they're physics related, and they're game
for console.
Yeah, for console. They're game and physics related, not graphics related, and that's why they can't push those numbers up, because you're going to have significant spikes that drop it down to where it's like, oh, suddenly it's 30 FPS instead of being 60, and that's just not a good gaming experience. And what makes me excited is that they're finally, it sounds like they're adopting like a modern current CPU that they can get behind and not have those issues.
But it's still up to the developers to target the frame rate they want. Like, do you want your game to look great in screenshots, or do you want it to look great in motion?
I know that's what I want. Yeah. I want to hear them say, and I wish Cerny would have said it, is we're pushing and working with developers to make 60 frames per second a priority.
That'd be nice.
I just wanted to hear it, that it's on his mind, because it actually really impressed me that the SSD stuff came out. That was the only thing that surprised me, was the SSD is it doesn't surprise me that's coming. It surprised me it's a focus, to the point they're working supposedly on more specialized SSD, because I never really thought about, now they can render stuff, but they can't load it fast enough, which is ironic and funny. It drew me back to the great cartridge versus CD wars of the 90s. And we're going back to, and we've been suffering from it. That's why we install games on a hard drive, which is too slow. And so it goes back to instant access on a cartridge, which Nintendo once stood by and said, look, that's why when you jump through a painting in Mario, comparatively to what happened on the PlayStation, it was an incredible experience. And so I love that that's a focus for Sony. I wish frame rate was a part of that discussion. So hopefully they bring that up next time.
You guys want to talk about the Revelry a little bit?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Fallout.
I'm joking.
Fallout, how do you feel about the Revelry?
All right. Do we have someone in a studio booth somewhere? Pull the camera in on me. Pull the camera in.
You need a cold drink?
Slow down.
Let me rub your shoulders.
Cue music. Fog machine.
Bungie. Use the Crucible Labs. What happened, Bungie? We had this place where you told us it was like a playground where we could try out new things.
A safe place.
A safe place for shenanigans where we could run around and have fun and be free. I have no idea. What happened to Crucible Labs? Okay, so if you don't know what the Revelry is, it's timed spring event, and one of the rewards that you can get is this gear. And the gear, the armor, in combination with a certain type of buff, you can reduce your ability cooldowns, ability melee or grenade cooldown to mayhem level effects. And they allowed this to go into quick play and comp. Okay, so imagine that you went to a wedding, right, as a guest,
I love weddings.
Okay, and so it's time to have food, and you look at the spread.
Ooh, I love food.
Everything on the table.
They're serving Briar.
It's only carrots.
Briar.
That's the whole thing. There's different ways to serve carrots
and Briar.
It's the whole thing. And then you're like, well, can I have some like champagne or something? No, it's just carrot juice.
Ooh.
And you're like, well, don't you have any other options for people who don't want carrots? And they're like, no. So it's like, if Bungie, with my crappy little analogy there, I'm just trying to say,
it was a beautiful analogy.
I like having options.
Wait a minute. How long does this event last, Fallout?
3 weeks, buddy.
3 weeks. So the Crucible got more grenades in it.
Mayhemified for 3 weeks. Yeah.
More is an understatement.
I made a video where I went into a game, I maxed out the grenade, and I put on the Shinobu's Vow. I fired the gun maybe 10 times the entire match, and I top fragged with no problem. You can just.
Me too. It's the first time I was top of the leaderboard. Shinobu's Vow, let's go.
And it was like, if they put that into a special playlist, like the Revelry PvP or whatever, or you know what I mean? Because then it would have been fine. Because if you didn't want that option, you could have been like, oh, well, that's fine. They can enjoy that. I'm going to go play quick play. But they're forcing us to drink the carrot juice across the entire board. We have no choice. It's in comp. It's like
I was surprised that it wasn't only effective in the Verdant Forest.
Yeah.
So I like that it is in the whole sandbox. As soon as I read it that they're putting that in quick play and comp, I was like, really? Oh, that's interesting. All right. And it pretty much turned out exactly how I thought as soon as I read it on Twitter. And I was like, yeah, okay, lots of grenade spam. Yeah. Because people were talking about, oh, you just got to dodge the nades, man. Come on, just dodge the nades.
Just be good for it.
Did you play Destiny 1 year 3? I mean, you should be good at this by now.
Should be used to this. This is your fault for not preparing well enough in year 3 of D1.
So I feel bad for you, Fallout, on a PvP side. You know,
no, it's brutal. I like that because they came out with a statement. If you haven't read it, I think it's on DTG on Reddit, right? They came out because people were like, why did you put this in comp and like forcefully, like, please tone it down. Comp is supposed to be about gun skill. Shocking concept. But they were like, hey, so they replied, they were like, hey, we knew that the effects would be drastic, but we wanted to give it a shot anyway. We wanted to do an experiment because even if it didn't go very well, it's only for a short period of time. Which,
imagine if they had a place in the Crucible where they could run such an experiment.
Doesn't exist.
Like, I respect their chutzpah to try and shake things up a little because people like dealing with new things, but you gotta give us the option. We have what happened to the Crucible labs? I feel like it's sitting in the garage with a tarp.
When was the last time it was out?
Last summer, right?
Oh, no.
I think summer.
Yeah, it was last summer before Forsaken.
I think they're low on resources. And I think that when I say that, they're busy with Destiny 3 as well as this season, whatever's coming. And we also know, you look around, not as many people are at Bungie as were there last year. Seemingly, people are moving on and Activision's no longer there. And so I think they're readjusting in a lot of ways. And I get the sense, looking at their response too, they're like, we agree with you. It's a little intense, but that's it. We can't change it. Meaning we're a little busy with other stuff that we can't mess with this event beyond this. And it makes you wonder how much it was tested.
It's like
they obviously tested it,
right? Because it's like, okay, clearly they're busy on more important things.
I hope that was a wood test.
We all know that was not. Yeah, it's wood test.
It's plastic.
They're busy with more important things. We hope.
That argument doesn't hold any weight with me because that's what I thought before Destiny 2 came out. It's like, the reason that Destiny Destiny 1 year 3 was like crazy was because they're working on Destiny 2. It'll all be okay when Destiny 2 comes out. Don't worry about it. Destiny 2 is going to be amazing. They've taken all the stuff they've learned.
This is deja vu.
Destiny 1, and it's going to be amazing.
It keeps
100% deja vu.
But
Leopard, how about the game that we're playing now? You really focus on the game we're playing now and make the experience we're having now amazing, and then we'll trust you for Destiny 3.
But they got to look at appeasing the hardcore as well as bringing people in. We know that's always a tough one. So there's people, and I've heard from them, they're on the opposite. They're like, dude, I came in, I actually am having kind of some fun in PvP, and they may only be there for this week, but they brought them back, and there is always the other side. It's hard to say it's 100% right or wrong, right? But Leopard, I was curious, did you get a chance to check out Revelry at all yet?
No, I did. Yeah, for the last 3 days, I've been playing Revelry. Got the Arbalest, first kinetic linear fusion.
Nice.
Got some nice 400 plus damage headshots in Crucible, but constantly getting skip grenaded nonstop.
I haven't gotten it yet,
Just
Leopard.
be good, bro.
How does it feel in the Crucible? Is it like
for me, it feels like there's a little aim assist there, but it doesn't feel like Queenbreaker's power. Like it feels like a Kmart Queensbreaker kind of, like a discount Queenbreaker.
Yeah.
The blue light.
Yeah, but I mean, it is kinetic with special ammo, so that's to be expected. I mean, I'd rather run a snipe because you can pull the trigger and instantly fire it. I don't really like linear fusions because of the charge up, but I think it fills a niche role, which is like Queensbreaker, but not having to rely on power ammo for sure. But I mean, I'm never going to try it in PvE for sure. I have not played a lot of PvP lately, so the whole concept of shaking up the sandbox for PvP is interesting for me because I've not been enjoying PvP in Destiny 2 for a while. So I don't really find it as annoying as I'm sure as people who played all the time would.
Like Fallout.
But I can see where if I tried it more than a couple days, I'd probably be fed up with it because it turns into sort of like just a dice roll. Like how many grenades can you spam? How many class abilities can you spam? How many melee abilities can you spam? Because the refresh rate is just atrocious. It's like mayhem for one thing. And if you happen to be playing PvP and your essence or tonic or whatever it's called is lost and you don't have that refresh, like you're just at a complete disadvantage, and it just completely throws you into a horrible situation that you have no control over until you realize, oh well, maybe there's 400 skip grenades around me because I haven't refreshed my own essence. Maybe I should go do that. And it feels kind of awkward.
I promised a friend who has long wanted her not forgotten. It's her birthday tomorrow.
Oh no!
Oh no!
So, yep. So in advance, we thought it would be a real nice surprise. We formed a group this Saturday. We're gonna go help her through the final leg of comp.
Who's gonna bring it to her that we got to postpone her birthday?
This comes.
Can I join?
I'm like, listen, Amber, don't fall out of love with that Luna. All right, girl. it's a reliable gun.
Gonna have to give it another 3 weeks for that.
Yeah, Briar, I'm with you. It's like I'm glad that they were open and that they were like, listen, you know what? We made a mistake. We tried to shoot for the moon here. They went all in, and they got called. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh man, how many times are we gonna watch this exact scenario unfold? Did they not have a plan B?
So I want to say
right?
I completely agree in those essences of PvP, and I was really surprised to see that was going to apply to the sandbox, especially comp, where there's a relative expectance to how it's going to go for those matches. So I thought that was very surprising. I will say the Verdant Forest was fun. I liked it. I thought it was fun to play through, and I think the buffs for PvE is a lot of fun. I took the grenade the melee into strikes, and I was just chucking knives like crazy, just boom, boom, boom. It was like cut code knives. It was awesome. Cut code knives, man, cutting pennies with those. It was great. So, yeah, I had Lord of Wolves out to intimidate the enemies, but I wouldn't shoot it. I would just throw knives. It was great. I'm a hunter. Obviously, I'm a hunter.
Fear the fire, take the knife.
Exactly. You see Lord of Wolves, you go, yikes, man. I have a knife in my head. It's great.
We'll give credit where it's due. I agree. I thought the event was really fun. A lot of people enjoying it. It's like a kind of a little remix of the experience that we had in the
Festival of
spooky
the Lost.
in the Festival of the Lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
I think
Verdant
it's
Forest
better.
doesn't get more difficult.
Yeah,
it just
so that's
stays the
that's
same
what I wanted to
difficulty
say.
for
Yeah.
round after round
it
after
could have been
branch
done
after
a
branch.
little.
I'm actually
What
really
is it?
surprised.
What
You
was
go
the
like
reason
30
behind that?
I'm really surprised
You
that
go
they
35
didn't.
rounds.
Yeah, they
Hold on, real quick. You go 30. Is it you go 35 rounds, then face of the bosses? Is that the number?
No,
You can go
you can
unlimited.
do whatever you want to do,
Revelry,
but
you
it doesn't
can
get
do
any harder.
unlimited. Yeah, it's just the same thing. Glad on day 1, I tuned into his stream and he was on like wave 300, and I was like, why?
What triggers the
His
bosses?
chat was like, hey, why
Just
not?
the time?
When time runs
When you
out
run out
or
of
your
time.
team
Okay.
wipes.
Yeah,
Right.
Either of
So the
those
only thing that
events.
more rounds does is give you 5 extra seconds for the boss. I think typically
Okay.
for every branch. So if you want to make
Up
it
to 5
easier to get
minutes.
through the 5 bosses, up to 5 minutes, it limits
caps
itself.
to 5 minutes.
So after X amount of branches, it's pointless.
Yeah, it's literally pointless. So that was one of my biggest things. Also, is like I wanted to say that like the sandbox change is really cool from a PvE perspective, but the fact that it doesn't get more difficult because the Nightmare Forest, whatever it was called for Halloween, was awesome. You went through, it got more difficult. There was modifiers every time you went up there, and it got like to a point where it was like, okay, this is just too difficult or whatever. And then they didn't do any of that, and I was like, oh, but why? Why not increase like the power or something every branch?
They made it more farm friendly because like if you go with a group and you really find your dynamic, you can only do just a couple rounds, and then you can go in with like 45 seconds if you're like really like connected.
3
with your
branches,
teammates.
kill 5 bosses. You're
Yeah,
I
boss.
don't
and
know
then
about
you
that,
just-
Fallout.
you
I
just-
went in my second time with a random group, like just blueberries.
Oh, that's
we
a
had,
mistake, but carry on.
We had 4.5 minutes and we killed all 5 bosses. This is my second time in that
4.5
event.
minutes.
That's good. I mean, like, yeah, with my team, we were only rolling with like 45 seconds to a minute, and then we just maximized. Like, if you don't even need to wait for time to run out. We were jumping off the map because if you all wipe, then it just goes to the boss room, and then we were just burning through all 5, and they're like, okay, let's run it again. So they made it more farm friendly if you really know your routine. But I missed the challenge of the Festival of the Lost because it was so cool. It got like really hard and intense. This was like it was like a walk in the park.
Yeah, I appreciated some of the chill vibe of it at first. And, you know, they repainted it with this very verdant, you know, green. But it is the Infinite Forest, and now it's truly infinite, which I get. But I'm with you guys. I would have liked to see something hybrid, which is doesn't, like, drastically go up, but maybe tiered out in a way that like, no, okay, now I'm getting in the 25s, I'm getting in the 50s. And for the people who really want to go the distance, yeah, it does start to just ramp up in difficulty and give you a reason to think about how am I going to make it farther. And it just seems like, why not? Because yeah, like to your point, it's like, why it's infinite. Okay. Like why play 500 other than you're just farming, but for what even? I mean,
Clout.
Yeah. Like, what do you like? I guess, like, yeah, you can get a drop, I guess, technically. But
To make
I don't know why
extra
you'd sit there and do
sure
it.
you can kill all 5 bosses.
Get your 5 minutes.
Up to
I
5
do
minutes.
like
Being
when you
extra
kill all
sure
5
that you get
bosses.
to-
You do get a pretty good loot explosion
Yes.
after you kill all 5 bosses. Like that's pretty cool. It's a good feeling.
I
It
think
is
they
only
did a good job with the
3-week
loot.
event. Yeah, they did a great job with the loot. It is only a 3-week event, so it's not like we're going to be playing this in 4 months
Yeah.
saying, "Well, this is getting boring." But yeah, I do agree. It like an increase in difficulty would have been nice.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about some of the good stuff. Like, I mean, we don't have to play the Verdant Forest.
True.
You know, there's power bounties that Ava has now, which is nice,
Yeah.
and they're not crazy, which is a nice way to get power, which we know these events, like previously, they didn't even serve that sometimes. So, you know, I think they did a good job with that. And like you guys said, I like the buffs to take them into other places. It's interesting. We talk about mixing things up sometimes, and they were able to do it, I think, in PvE overall, that seems fine. You know, even for the raid, I don't think anybody cares if some team's doing it, you know, cheesing it this week with these buffs. Like, it's fine.
No.
It was the, you know, a bridge too far with PvP. They should have.
Except for when
reserved
you
it
generate too many orbs and you get too many guitar arrows.
Well,
guitar
yeah,
errors
the guitar-
in raids.
That was an issue they had to fix. What was it exactly? That precision headshot orbs were crashing the game, I guess?
Yeah, I give you guitar errors. I crashed, I think, 5
Oh, you
times in
experienced
Last
it.
Wish on Wednesday with guitar errors with because too many orbs. So we said no supers this run on the last encounter in Last Wish, and finally no guitar errors. Like,
Yeah, but that's just like, that's a bummer, you know, in the bug development process is like, well, that sucks. But design-wise, like, I mean, I think the event is good I like the Infinite Forest. I did not, for the love of God, I did not want to go back to the EDZ or Mars and do a public event and wait for fragments of something to drop and pick up 12 of them, take them back. Like we've done it. I don't even care if you added a tripwire that's new in this area. I'm kind of referring to, the Forge stuff that we had to unlock. And so anyway, I was happy to see, like, bring back, even though it was reskinned, I was like, oh, okay, I'm happy that I can just take care of this in here. I can get Arbalest. It's a direct path to it, and I can get the suit, and I want it, and I want to get those antlers. Like, I just kind of want to collect and move on. So on that side, I felt pretty good about it. I think it was, at least for me, I think it was mostly PvP that I saw as like a big miss, but I don't play PvP right now actively, although if I want to hop in and get Luna or something, which I've really been thinking about, I'm like, maybe now is not the best time to do it.
Just talk to your friend Fallout. He'll help you.
I know, exactly. He's on PS4.
I've been planning on Penumbra to do it because I'm going to knock out all the stuff that I need over the summer.
Knock it out.
Just, that.
How do you know it's going to be usable in September?
I don't care for that. If I'm going to get it as a collector, because I'm the same point. I'm at the same point. I'm like, if I'm going to play PvP, it's usually going to be a different game. I'm just.
How's that Wizened Rebuke coming?
The Rebuke?
The one you get from doing what the Iron
what you're seeing right now is not recognition in Tefty's eyes.
No, I know, but like meaning you don't have that. That'd be a crazy grind for that.
The Rebuke.
The Verdukian.
I do have to click on my triumphs to get my Arbalest, but I'm under contractual agreement not to click on any triumphs unless it's Friday. So,
okay.
When's the NDA up on that?
I think when Sony releases the weapons. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, I mean, that kind of happened last Friday, so you're all good.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get into a lawsuit, so better safe than sorry.
But, come on, it'll be worth it.
Yeah, but overall, like the design of the tower, I actually like the armor design. I mentioned last week I like the reactive ornament or whatever, the antlers that grow if you have a full suit or whatever, right? I would like to see more of that. But somebody actually told me, the antlers go away after the event?
Yeah.
What?
They did.
Why?
Go away. Yeah.
Around. Why take it away?
I have the suit. Like, why take it away? Yeah, I don't understand.
That's weird.
Like, I think it's supposed to signify, like, the spring is over, but, like, that's not cool. I earned them.
Yeah, you're in that cosmetics, man.
Yeah.
If I want to walk around with, like, a tail or something that grows out of my suit, like, just let me have
Exactly.
it. That's all.
Take a tail tonic.
Yeah, I would play with a tail. That'd be great. Tail tonic.
Yeah.
Tail wags.
Little
There you go. Perfect what you do.
Why not?
The Hunter from Destiny 1.
But anyway, overall, I thought it was okay, but I understand the PvP rage that is happening. I was curious.
Yeah, they put out a statement.
Actually,
they said that they can't actually do anything until the event's over.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is the way it is. I actually got debated on Twitter. There was somebody changed their name to Bungie Help.
A fake account. I saw that.
I believed it.
Really fun.
I legit believed it, and I said on stream, I was like, I can't believe they're gonna hot patch that. That's crazy. Wow.
Reverting it.
So proactive.
The
Bungie.
verbiage was like on point. Everything was.
Yeah, I completely bit it.
Yeah, the language is perfect
It was
for
pretty
it.
fun.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
That was my fake account. Sorry.
Damn it, Leopard.
But,
It's so stealthy. God.
I like to troll.
So stealthy.
Troll leopard.
But as events go, though, what do you guys think? Did they do? If the PvP wasn't messed up, what do you think of the event overall? Do we want to see events handled like this, or what does it leave you thinking?
I think it's actually really cool. I mean, I said in my piece about the Verdant Forest. I do think it should have slowly increased in difficulty. That way, it would have been interesting to actually go even higher in those branches. But aside from that, like the fact that they changed the whole sandbox with this mode, I think it's cool. I love to see stuff like that. I want to see more of it.
And it's completely free, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is available to anyone, regardless of what DLC you own or don't own.
Yeah.
So
They kept the power level at 200, which is
right.
great.
Yeah.
Anyone
can
play,
access.
Really. So good job to them for doing that too.
Yeah. The Arbalest is exclusive for season pass holders. Is that right?
Is it?
Is it? I don't know.
Don't know.
Forget.
That's a good
Chat, help
question.
me out. I thought the Arbalest was for pass owners, but then the event, itself was fine. So that's how they.
So you wouldn't-
because something is just for season pass.
You wouldn't be able to actually.
Yeah, you
click on
gotta give
the
something to
triumphs if you didn't own the season pass.
Now you make a good point. And people are saying it's free.
Oh, it's free for everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you, chat.
Great.
That's good.
What do I get?
Then what do you get for paying for this event? I guess this is one of those events that you got
better
Reckoning,
Destiny 3.
you got Gambit. So that's okay.
You get your spare rations, man.
Exactly. You only get the crazy PvP experience if you have a season pass.
That's what you get.
You get
Count your
infinity
lucky
nades.
stars,
If
buddy.
you have the season pass, you can buy infinity nades.
You guys want to do some Twitter questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Was there anything big in the update today, though? By the way,
Yeah, there was a TWAB, wasn't there?
Oh,
There
was.
There
was
was
it-
the Spectral Blade thing real quick.
Oh, they talking about Spectral
Quiz
Blades?
Invest.
They
We should bring that up.
did, yeah.
What did they
That's
say
one
about
thing
my
they're
Spectral
doing.
Blades?
Let's take a look.
There's going to be a damage reduction. Out of stealth damage reduction reduced from 60 to 52%. In stealth damage reduction reduced from 62 to 54.4.
I'm always in stealth.
So let's read their summary real fast. As you are all aware, some from the Sandbox team, Spectral Blades has been running amok in the Crucible. Below, you'll find a brief on our plans to rein it in a bit. The two main issues are the length of the super, especially combined with the Quiz Invest, and the survivability of the player while it's active. So one of the things, like Breyer said, was they bring about 8% reduction-ish on what the damage reduction that you normally would have.
8% enough? I don't know, man. It
Ish.
still seems like you're going to have to really
12.
team fire that guy.
Yeah, but see what they wrote
10 to
though.
12, sorry.
Where's this thing? This change reduces Spectral Blades to have the lowest damage reduction of all the roaming supers while stealth is not active, and to be in line with the low end when stealth is active. With stealth, vision through walls, and all the crap that they get, it's really strong. They write that this means a lower damage reduction will demand better planning and positioning to survive for multiple kills, which lines up with the Fantasy of the Path. And this is the first step toward trying out a roaming super with lower damage reduction. Let us know what you think. Now that's huge, because a lot of my PvP friends are very vocal about, they think that supers have too much incoming damage reduction. They miss the days of D1 where you could snipe somebody out of their super or something to that degree. So it sounds like Bungie is kind of hearing that feedback and maybe taking a baby step in the direction of toning down the excessive incoming power of the super.
Yeah, well, Gwizdon is crazy. Everybody uses it, so they really seem to take a pretty big stab at this one. The one that stuck out to me was that light melee cost. You know how much of the super ability it costs you has been increased by 50%. They said, it might not seem like a lot, but it basically didn't cost you anything before. That's going to make a big difference. Each swipe you're taking now, before, because we would all use that to just get
it was
across the
free.
dodge.
You could just literally light swipe across the map. You just hear someone going.
Yeah. So they said they didn't want it to cost too much. It's the only way to chase people down, but they did need to, make a little bit of a difference. So that'll be interesting. And then with Quiz Invest, they say they're looking at it now and playing with some changes. They didn't say what it was, and we want to see how those initial changes go. If we decide to change Quizzin, you'll see it in Season 7. So
when Season 7 start?
June?
I think at the end of June. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was first week of June.
Before Guardian Con?
I know you're right. It's the end of May, beginning of June.
Yeah,
yeah, they don't have the exact date yet, right?
most likely June 3rd or 4th, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
May the 4th be with
we think.
Exactly. A month after that, yeah. So it's not that far away, but plus you got 3 weeks of
nade spam.
nade spam.
Yeah, that should keep me busy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just dodge.
I'm loving it.
Just dodge.
I had the
it.
advantage of finishing
on.
my Thorn quest today for the Crucible portion with the Void hand cannon kills.
Nice.
I've never played comp because I was playing so many other games. So my Valor or whatever it's called was like 200 to 300. So I was able to get the hand cannon Void whatever kills done for my Thorn quest in like 3 or 4 games because my Valor was so low. And holy God, everybody threw skip grenades at me. Like it was just. Why is skip grenades like the thing? Like it's this the thing that everyone uses. I would use my Hunter dodge.
They're Liam Neeson's, man. They chase you down.
To undo the tracking.
Yeah.
But because there's so many skip grenades coming at me, it would untrack and then retrack, and I would still die. And I was like, well, what do you do?
And then they got another one. They're like, oh, you're around the corner?
Look at Why can't I hold all of these?
But as someone who doesn't play PvP that much, it's fun. It's interesting because I don't live and breathe it every day because I play so many other games. So it was a nice change up because, to be honest, Destiny 2 hasn't been something that's been attracting me to come back to play all the time. So I can see where if you're someone who doesn't play it all the time, it's fun to have something just fresh and new to play, but it does get old pretty quick because of like the lack of control you feel you have over it because it's just someone spamming grenades all the time.
I think those skip grenades are
interesting for a little bit
of what's wrong with the Crucible right now. The fact that somebody can throw something at a corner and chase you around that corner without ever putting themselves in danger, like fundamentally just isn't fun. I'm sorry. That's not a fun thing.
It's fun if you're killing people.
I mean, we've had problems with nades in the past with Destiny, obviously. Stickies and
fusions are fine. Viking funeral's fine.
Fusions should be nerfed. What?
No, it's fine.
Is it too late? Can we still go back to Destiny 1 and nerf fusions?
Fallout, you didn't have a chance to experience trip mines with young Ahamkaras, did you? People were saying that the recharge rate and uptime for those was pretty nuts too, I guess. But for trip mines, that they were like,
but there's
because it's the same thing. You could just keep doing it
to go around.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible.
You got wings. So anyway, and then Iron Banner is back next week. I don't know if we already mentioned that, but
yeah, good stuff.
I like that rocket launcher that they're giving away with Iron Banner this time. It's just cool looking.
Yeah.
Twitter questions?
Yeah.
Anything else Destiny related we want to talk about before?
Hey, you said that 15 minutes ago. I guess it's time.
Yeah.
That happens all the time, Stealth.
Don't call me Stealth. Call me
he's the
Leopard.
Leopard.
Lep.
Big
Not
Lep.
Leo.
Rockabilly666 says, please ask Leopard what his favorite brand of sparkling water is.
Ooh.
Kirkland brand sparkling water, grapefruit flavor, definitely.
Ooh,
cheap.
Do you like LaCroix?
And all the great
store brand.
It's Costco. Kirkland brand is Costco.
Costco.
Really cheap, and all the great sparkliness of soda, carbonation of soda without any of those unnecessary calories.
Hashtag not an ad.
Not an ad. No, I'm not sponsored by Costco. That's the funny thing.
Good,
Kirkland doesn't sponsor anybody.
What is the flavor?
Kirkland brand
grapefruit.
Grapefruit, yeah.
It's the whispering.
It's like drinking water, but someone in the nearby room yelled grapefruit.
Yeah, there you go. They have a professional person whispering to get the name to it as they can it. Somebody said that in my chat recently. I thought it was hilarious. Can't remember who though. My bad. What about LaCroix though? Do you not like LaCroix?
Yeah, it's just more expensive, like an extra couple cents. So we just go to Costco.
Dude,
I'll get
Kirkland
LaCroix
stuff
at
and Costco is so
Costco.
yeah. It's pretty baller, actually.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Workaholics if you ever watch it.
I'm trying to be a full-time streamer, so I'm trying to save money. I'm sorry.
Do you always
It's smart,
do
man.
you
It's
find
smart.
it strange when somebody is horribly opposed to sparkling water?
It's because they haven't tried it. They're just hating on it because
There's
it's
a
cool
lot
to
of
hate
people.
on stuff.
No, there's a lot of people that are like,
who-
this tastes like actual ass in my cup. You're actually shoving down fecal matter down my throat when I'm drinking this. I'm like, it's just water with carbonation.
water
I
with
don't
bubbles
understand what's going on here. This is I'm confused.
I used to not see the purpose of it, but now that I drink water all the time, like it's nice to have like water and then have something water that kind of punches you in the face a little bit, just because it's nice.
It's like extreme
variety is
water.
the spice of life. Like you need something different.
This ain't your grandma's water, all right? This is hardcore water.
Plants like it.
It's fizzy. I agree. It's a lot. It's exciting. It's like exciting water. That's
it's
what they
exciting.
should call it.
Static water.
Yeah,
Static water.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there that are like, are you kidding me? I will not drink.
I fear for the people you're hanging out with, Tefty. We gotta have a conversation.
Yeah, Tefty,
Who's like so?
I'm surprised you guys haven't run into this like
strongly
I've run
opposition.
into some of these people.
It happens
They
all
hate
the
it.
time.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm talking about.
And I'm like,
No,
I don't
yeah,
like. I
feel
get you don't
you.
like it. Sometimes it's like it's more bitter to them or whatever it is. It's just not as refreshing to some people, and I don't understand that as much.
My
But
theory-
I get
My theory is that
not as refreshing, and I hate that it tastes like assholes.
Well, I haven't heard that as much.
Yeah, I've never heard. Oh, it's just not refreshing. No. It's like that is actually violating my taste buds.
Liquid ass.
Yeah, like that.
You're drinking the wrong type of sparkling water.
So my theory is that they're very used to high sugary drinks, and so if you're used to like having what's the Taco Bell? You drink the hell is that?
Baja Blast.
If you're used to getting the blast in the mouth from Baja,
what the hell is that?
then
I haven't had Taco Bell
LaCroix, you're gonna obviously be confused and feel like you've been violated in the taste buds.
Yeah, you drink too much sweet. I love sparkling for the record. Yeah.
Have you ever had diet soda and a candy bar at the same time?
No.
Yeah.
It makes the diet soda taste so bad because diet soda on its own tastes like it's got sugar in it. But when you have actual sugar to compare like artificial sweetener to, like it really does taste bad. It's weird. But maybe you're right. It's just people who have a lot of sugar go to something that doesn't have any sugar in it, like has sweetener in it.
Well, they get that carbon flavor and then that sweetness isn't there, and they're like,
ass.
All right, we spent a lot of time on the sparkling water.
It's been coming up a lot in my chat lately.
That's all right. I've learned a lot about Tef's friends and sparkling water.
I drink LaCroix a lot on stream, so it comes up.
I love LaCroix key lime, by the way.
I'm a LaCroix.
Delicious.
Worst flavor? Worst flavor? Coconut. Awful.
Ooh.
Most people hate it. I'm okay with it, but I prefer if you'd mix it with something. Yeah.
Wow.
Like Baja Blast.
What's another question?
Going Commando AZ says, what's Destiny 2 missing that made Destiny 1 so good? Also, what kind of sauce do you recommend on your trash fries?
What?
Trash fries?
Okay.
Trash fries?
Trash fries?
Okay, Going Commando is a long-time viewer of my community. Trash fries, so back when I was a computer programmer, I sat next to the break room. The CEO would come by with his... I can't believe I'm going to say this. He'd come by with the rest of his meal for lunch and just drop it off on top of the garbage can. And as
I got it now.
Yeah,
okay.
as an aspiring as a poor new hire, I'd be like, okay, well, I mean, I was like, I saw him walk by. I'm in the break room. He just dropped them off. I mean.
It's like
Seinfeld. Pick those up. He just dropped them off. They look good. Let me just. Oh, they taste great. This is good. Like there's nothing on them. Like it's not dirty, right? It's fine.
It's just proximity of the trash. It's not actually
right
the trash.
Meanwhile, the CEO is around the corner with the rest of upper management. Like, is he going to eat it? I'll give you $10 if he eats it.
Dude, there was a camera in
there.
There was a camera in there.
So I ate them and I felt great because I'm a creature of convenience. I don't like driving somewhere to get lunch. I don't like to spend money on stuff. Like I'd rather be hungry than spend money on stuff because that's just how I am. So like I rarely when I stream I go hungry because it's just how I am. It's how I'm built.
Yeah.
And so like my boss would drop off trash fries and
can't you have your wife come by while you're streaming and put some fries in the trash?
That was 5 years ago. I've now
he wasn't technically dropping off French fries. He was throwing them away in the garbage.
Yes.
I love the euphemism of it. It is an important distinction.
I tried to sugarcoat it, but yeah, he threw them away. But I picked them off the top really quick before any bacteria got into them. So there's a great clip on the Nightbot commands that has my explanation of that.
I love that.
So besides that, the Destiny portion of the question was what's
Destiny 2 missing that made Destiny 1 so good?
I think that's probably the hardest question to answer of anything that I've ever heard because it's one of these things that I can't really put my finger on, but I have always felt like it's Destiny 2 is missing something that I can't figure out, and I draw it back to is it the fact that Destiny 2's first impression was negative? We had a sandbox that was double primary that wasn't very fun, and eventually they fixed that, and now it's better than it was arguably in D1 where we have the ability to mix and match hand cannons that are kinetic or energy, shotguns that are kinetic energy. We can mix and match much more than we could in D1, but still it doesn't feel as fun. Is it the fact that we had all this work and time into D1, and then they took that all away with the D2's release, because they took all of our loot away because we lost it all with the Red Legion coming.
How about freshness? Destiny 2 doesn't have the freshness that Destiny 1
right, with D1 it was there's always this feeling of novelty, where it's a brand new experience that we've never seen before, and D2 is just sort of a sequel that we've already experienced, and so it just feels less special because of that. I think for me it's a culmination of all three of those things, where the first impression is bad, where they took our loot away, where it's just not as special, as fresh as D1 was, where it's just not as novel as D1 was. All these things create.
On console, I would argue that Destiny 2 doesn't feel as good as that. Like, just the general gunplay doesn't have the same.
Yeah, there was something there. Remember with hand
right.
cannons in particular at launch, we were all like, wait, what's going on?
It felt weird.
Yeah, and my problem is, like, I went from console to PC, and it's hard for me to compare back to D1 because my PC experience is so limited, but maybe it has something to do with the fact that the game just doesn't feel as good as on PC as it did on console. But it's really hard for me to say because I haven't gone back to console for Destiny in years. But for what I've drawn the conclusion that it's a combination of all those things, that where no matter what you do, I don't think Destiny 2 can ever be as special as D1 was for me, because it was just such a new experience that was just so fresh and new and fun that D2 can just never live up to that.
So I agree with most. Yeah, I pretty much agree with all that, but I also want to add that I think a big thing that happened in D2 that it started with was the sandbox, the way the sandbox was built and the way the loot was set up, and then the way they tried to fix that with Forsaken. Forsaken obviously got a lot better in terms of loot, but it was still like, okay, so here's the beginning of how they're reshaping this, and I can't wait to see how this is going to evolve over the year. And it didn't really evolve. It just was these cherry-picked moments of weapons that come into the meta, and not really adding interesting variety into the sandbox and the loot. That I think D1 had a richer sandbox and a richer loot variety overall, because even though there was some serious droughts like the Taken King drought, there was still things being found at the time during those droughts that people were discovering the different roles of weapons that were suddenly like, oh, this is actually a standout right here. This is surprising. And I don't really feel like we're having that in D2.
We never have vendor refreshes. We never have sandbox updates.
Yep.
Very rarely.
Yeah.
No arms day. There's nothing to log into on a daily basis and see what's
my answer was going to tie into that. I think we just need more end game level grind, because it's just not there. I mean, part of that is chasing the weapons that you feel are interesting, the roles that you think are good. It's like something like Trials was kind of small, but people liked signing in for the challenge every weekend. We don't have that now. It's sort of like for the PvP element of it anyway. Once most people get their pinnacle weapon, they stop playing because there's no reason to play beyond that point. If we had
I've never got a pinnacle weapon.
Trials kept PvP alive in D1.
It did. It did.
Oh,
If there were more carrots that we wanted to chase on the stick, then it would be more. But some people like Leopard, they're not enticed enough to even want to go after the pinnacle weapon.
You
and
said
the people
you hated
who
carrots.
I did say that.
The wedding example, man.
But
I'm sorry. I don't want to derail.
You're
I just couldn't wait
mixing
to put them in.
metaphors here, buddy.
Sorry. This is carrots and PvP
cutting me
that
off
are in
with
front of you. The others are juiced.
You think you could, because you have great hair, you can just cut anybody off.
I'm sorry. I do apologize.
Sick friend.
I had to get it in there.
But
really cut to the chase.
So people either aren't enticed to go for the pinnacle weapon, or once they get the pinnacle weapon, they stop. We need more reasons to continue playing.
Well, wait a minute.
At the end of the game.
Is that a problem with the loot, or the game mode isn't fun?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's both.
Because I played Trials far longer than I needed Trials guns and armor. I liked.
Yeah, it wasn't just for doctrine
because it was fun.
Yeah, I liked playing Trials.
I don't play competitive because it's not fun. It doesn't matter what the loot is. I just don't like it.
Yeah, it was a sprint compared to a marathon, because with Trials you could just do one card, and if you got a flawless card, you're like, oh, nice, and you were like, you felt hyped up. You felt like you accomplished it. But like comp is just never. It's like a never-ending slog.
But Paul, actually, are you suggesting that you don't like pinnacle weapons? And you prefer the rolling?
That's a different question altogether. I like the idea of being able to go through an intense grind to receive a trophy weapon that you're truly proud of. Because when I earned my Not Forgotten, I felt really good about it for an extremely long time. It's a great when you unlock the thing that you're going after. You're like, oh man, I freaking
earned it.
You go through the blood and the sweat. Now, do I like what it kind of did to the meta, where it was like such a powerful weapon that I don't know, because it kind of did really drastically alter the meta to the on console anyway, to the point where you borderline need one now. I don't know if that's something that I agree with or liked. I just like the feeling of having that thing that you really want, and you chase it down, and you're like, hell yeah! The thing when you go to the tower and other people see it and they're like, oh, that guy's
that's
thing. You know what I mean? That's why the feeling that I like.
I had people carry me in Trials to get the Doctrine for a while when it was just so incredible. Yeah. It was one of the absolute tops, and once I got it, I was like, all right, this is worth it. Different, but I believe they need those types of things. But yeah, the meta chase for those random rolls of Destiny 1 was very different.
I feel like that is in the game though. Like if you show up with a Not Forgotten, people are supposed to be like, damn, you got.
Well, they are. Yeah.
Or if you have the Unbroken title, then people should be like, wow, okay, that's
right,
a lot of investment.
The point is, you've climbed the predictable mountain, and there it is. There's your Not Forgotten. You did it, but it was tough, and not guaranteed, but it is predictable. Whereas a little different than getting the God Roll Ass Luna, and I thought that was maybe what Fault was getting, or Palindrome, which you just bought from the vendor probably. Right?
It still feels that way, and I like that. Again, like for the Unbroken title, I'm still going for that right now. I'm 2 out of 3. But like there needs to be more, because the average player probably isn't going to be going for Unbroken. The average player is going to go into PvP and they're like, all right, let's get this over with. They're going for the pinnacle gun. If they get it, great. They're like, thank God I got it. Feels really good. Now I'm out. We can't have just one mountain to climb. There needs to be a whole range of mountains, because that's what keeps people invested in playing and having fun.
Right? It's like,
I think it goes back to what you were saying, Briar, is that the game mode just is not what it was when Trials came out. Trials had a certain special sauce along with the sandbox that it had problems. I'm not saying it didn't. Obviously, there's issues with the game mode and issues with the sandbox and all that. But when you compare the two, there was more interest in what we had in D1 for that stuff. And that's what D2 is missing, is that there's...
It's funny how it drifted so heavily towards PvP with that question. It could have gone anywhere, but PvP really was the one that we focused on.
Phoenix Randall says, question for everyone. If Destiny 3 becomes more of an RPG style game, which role would you be most interested to play as? Hunter, support, tank, DPS, etc.
Hunter is support.
I want to be DPS.
What?
I think Warlock would be support, right? Yeah, Titan would be a tank. Hunter DPS.
Yeah,
that sounds.
I mean, this is assuming it takes these traditional.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I actually just.
I'm with you, Teft. I was like,
I just understood the question.
Isn't it still?
Yeah. I would like to be a DPS. I always liked doing DPS in the old D&D pen and paper days.
Yeah, Hunter, 100%.
I'd be most interested to play probably DPS or tank.
I honestly don't know. I think so much as Destiny is Destiny that for thinking of where you're going on that side of it, I don't know.
Well, I don't think you can apply the trifecta like of normal RPGs to Destiny, because it just doesn't fit that role. Like there is no DPS tank healing in Destiny, right?
Dodge the question, Leopard.
Well, it's not
the time for
it's apples oranges. It's apples oranges, right? Right?
Yeah.
If you were to apply tank healing DPS to Destiny in their classes, what you would get different answers.
Yeah.
You're looking too deep into this question, my friend. If Leopard, if you were a hot dog and you were starving, would you eat yourself?
I would eat a cheeseburger.
Got him.
There you go.
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say it's an interesting translation of when they heard that it might go RPG. I just thought that meant we might go back to deeper trees and higher ability sets.
That's what I was
choosing paths versus even Sekiro or Dark Souls, whatever. They have a lot more depth. Even Division 2, you could argue has more RPG elements.
I feel like that's part of that last question as well. In D1, we had a lot of those things that we were messing with. And yes, there was things that we settled on that became the meta, but there was still options to try all these things. And that's part of the formula that made D1 more interesting. You always had the option to try something that people weren't doing right there. And while, yes, that is the case here in D2, it's just not as interesting.
The game unlocked slower in D1 than it feel like it does in D2. Like in D2, you feel like you get to, well, here's everything. And now I've just got to grind for light, and I've got to grind. I've got to play 1,000 raids till I get this one gun, or I've got to, play a ton of Crucible until I get this other gun.
Took only 3 raids to get 1,000 voices.
It's very on and off. Either I got it or I didn't. There's no, I made a little progress. While I was doing this, I made a little progress toward upgrading my Suros regime, and I got this really cool roll on this hand cannon, and I upgraded my armor a little bit. There's none of that in Destiny 2. It's very binary. Either I got the thing I was looking for, or I failed.
Yeah. Sorry to throw it back to the previous question. Just it dawned on me that was one of the big things about D1 as well.
Garrett McCauley says, what are some improvements we can get for the Infinite Forest? I think Tefty really had the best suggestion where just increasing the difficulty as you go on, make it feel more like a horde mode.
I'm going to totally agree with that. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
I don't like the fact that when you get to branch 8, you get to a little plate and then you have to turn right back around. It doesn't feel very infinite when you go out 8 branches and you come back 8 branches. Like it feels like
the couple of branches out, couple of branches back forest.
Yeah. Not so it's 8 branch forest. Yeah. Now I get why they do that because if you wipe and you respawn, you don't get revived. You have to go back to the beginning. You have to run all the way back out. So it's like part of the difficulty.
300
but
blocks.
It'd be nice if it felt more infinite. Because it is random every time that you go through it, but you can tell you're in this space that they've made, and you're just going through this linear path and then coming back down that path and back and forth. And so it makes it feel less Vex simulation like.
Yeah. Agreed.
This guy Sim says, is the Arbalest worth the grind to stay competitive in PvP?
No.
Yeah. Is Arbalest going to become a PvP
it a grind?
weapon?
No.
It's a trophy.
It's fun anyway, right? It's cool. It's probably going to be good in Gambit and stuff. I do not see it being a PvP game changer.
I think if anything, it's a trophy for the event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Use your Queensbreaker.
Can't you get it in 2-3 hours or something?
Yeah, roughly.
4 max.
Yeah. If you're trying to get headshots with knives all the time, it's going to set you back an hour or two. Instead of guns.
You be you, Tev. With your Lord of Wolves jib.
Fired hardly a single bullet on all those strikes.
Josh Haig says, hi, everyone. Have a question. The last 2 DLCs from the season pass were mostly group activities. Do you think the third one that's coming up will focus mostly... Okay, this one's tough because he says pave or another group activity. So I'm going to go with... Do you think it's mostly going to be PvP or another group activity?
Pave the way for another PvP group activity?
I'm going to get the general question.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be PvE focused.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I was getting that feeling too. That they... I don't know. They do try to do both. But I think this was probably the most PvP focused one we'll have, even though it was Gambit. But I feel like it'll go we had our Gambit moment, but in general, most of the events have never really just call it focused on PvP. This to me feels more unique, but they'll go back to what they normally do, which is a lot of PvE stuff. I mean, we know a raid's coming, so I mean, that answers part of the question, right? If that's the next one they're talking about, right?
And there's a new 6-man activity coming.
Yeah. Oh, and maybe that was the question: is that activity? I think we even answered something similar previously, but is it PvP focused or is that a PvE one? Did they say
PvE? Probably.
Wasn't there something that
they just said it was a 6?
It was PvE.
Oh, I have no idea.
It was 6-man activity.
I did this last time where I said the same thing, and I think we had the same reaction.
Yeah.
Like, which one was
This
it?
is
Then I spent
deja vu.
5 minutes looking for the roadmap, which you cannot Google easily. Anyway, but I do think it'll be relatively balanced. I just feel like those Leviathan vibes we got when they said opulence, in particular. That I was like, okay, I think I can see where this is going. Probably, more just PvE, Prison of Elders ish, whatever it is,
Selen says, during the Triumph event, Bungie introduced new armor that started as basic armor and was upgradable through various objectives. Do you see that something like this in the future where armor is upgradable like we had during the Triumph event? So remember in Days of Triumph and Destiny 1, you get the armor, but then you could upgrade it to have cool
Sparklies.
Flame. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I get to remember.
I
think they had a perfect opportunity to do that with this this last event with the Gambit stuff, where you go get the tier 1 set and then you upgrade it to tier 2 and then you upgrade it to tier 3. And I really was disappointed that they decided to just have tier 1 and then a totally different set that was tier 2 and then a totally different set that was tier 3.
Wait, is that how it works again? It's funny because I thought a complete set. Oh no, it's the motes that you use. Yeah. So the level of, or whatever they're called, the sits.
We had ornaments in or in year 1, but we haven't had any ornaments in year 2, have we?
Yeah, they took it away.
No, we did with. Wait, which ornament? Or were we talking about like? I was talking
the armor
thinking
ones.
the
armor ornaments.
Like,
well, no, the glowy ones. What was the glowy one? You're lit up with neon.
Oh yeah,
they're in there.
You're right.
That's the one time. I love them actually, but they were at the end of the first year, basically. I guess that was Moments of Triumph, wasn't it? Yeah, your Moments of Triumph armor. The ones with you can get the glow.
The Moments of Triumph, it was very opulent looking. Yeah.
You can choose the ornament glow. I thought it was really cool.
Post Forsaken though,
that's what we're talking
they've like really reduced it. I mean, it's like gone now. Like there was faction rallies, there was
Chroma.
It was Chroma before, but they had Iron Banner ones that you'd go and collect and try to unlock all of them. And
it was great because you'd have one set of Iron Banner armor, but you could have 3 different ornaments, so you could switch up the look of it. Same goes with Crucible armor. Same goes with Vanguard armor. It saves so much vault space, but you had so many options on how you wanted to look.
Yeah, then they dumped that. Apparently, there was a technical reason. Holtz would be able to answer this if he was here right now, because he had like the specifics on as to why they went back to
we
the
talked
system.
about it with Holtz, and I suggested that maybe it was because an ornament takes the same amount of room in the Destiny database as regular armor does. So it's basically like if you have one piece of armor with one ornament, that's like having 2 pieces of armor.
Yeah.
As far as the database is concerned, even though it shows as 1 piece of armor in your vault.
Right. So apparently it's something. I think he said, like that's one of the main reasons. I don't know if that's actual confirmation from a development point of view. But I think it was more interesting to unlock those ornaments. Like I was interested in unlocking that stuff for faction rally stuff, even though faction rallies are like, what are faction rallies, man? Yeah.
Awesomeness says, describe your pro racer alter ego for Briar's Ferrari Friday.
Wow.
What?
All right, so you show up for Ferrari Friday. What's your headspace like? What's your alter ego? What's your
let's
how
see.
are you going into this race?
It's
slammed
the drifter with 10 times more sex appeal. That's it.
Ding!
I like it.
That's
I like
good.
it.
Ding.
I feel like I'm living dangerously. I've just like slammed 3 LaCroix, like pamplemousse flavor, and now I'm drinking Red Bull because you got to ride the bull as well,
Ride the bull.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's all I got.
I feel like Fran's gonna be taking selfies at Ferrari Friday.
Funny, I was updating my Instagram during that question. I don't understand Ferrari Friday still, like I said. But.
I don't understand Ferrari Fridays.
Assuming that I invited you over to race Ferraris on like a nice Friday afternoon, and you wanted to win Ferrari Friday.
Yes.
The race. What's your headspace going in? Which Fran Marabella is showing up to Ferrari Friday?
Well, I think we identified last time that if I have any paint job right, it was like white with just like one red stripe or something. We identified as very like Miami,
like Evil Knievel.
So it'd be
there you go.
Or
like
I don't know,
Daredevil.
Evil Knievel. That's not the. I'm more like all dressed in white and
ready for a show.
Flawless.
So you're gonna jump over like
a white
100 cars.
Yeah.
All white suit, but red shirt to go with the stripe and a
you
red
got socks on
too.
under those loafers?
No socks.
No
Absolutely
socks.
not.
Okay.
Nope. And the pants run a little high at the ankles, so you can see the ankles too. So
Got it.
I'm not afraid.
Don Johnson.
So there we go.
I like it.
Don Johnson, apparently,
that is exactly who I want to show up
Don
to Ferrari
Johnson.
Friday.
And a mustache too. I'm going with it. Yeah, I love it.
Water Heckenberg says, "What is the best snack to eat while gaming that doesn't grease your fingers?"
Recently, I started.
Taft was talking about this on the last episode or
Was
something.
that?
Maybe it was pretty. You talking about your fingers getting
No, you see, I was talking about the worst ones that I actually
the
have
worst,
nightmares. He says the best.
But I mean,
one.
that's why you must know the best.
Okay, so this is I recently started eating a carrot. I haven't actually done it a while on stream.
Carrots?
But like memes,
Carrot?
I know it's crazy. It's weird, right? But it's delicious. It's got it's good. It's good crunch. A fresh peeled carrot,
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Try it.
Nice.
Don't knock it.
But
Yummy.
There's no
carrots
grease.
are wet, aren't
There's
they?
no grease.
Aren't they often wet?
Yeah, but you don't dip it out of the water and then eat a soaking wet carrot. You dry it off a bit. It's not.
You rub it on your
It's not
teeth?
sautéed in olive oil.
How about jerky? I always like jerky when I'm gaming. It doesn't mess up your fingers and it
What
lasts a
type of
little
jerky
bit.
eating? Because the jerky that I get is covered in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jerky is
Pretty
definitely
marinated-
not
pretty marinated, right?
Yeah, marinated, man. Flavor.
Yeah, it's marinated, but it doesn't get on your fingers.
What? What kind of fingers you have?
Well, my mother says they're hobbit fingers.
I don't do it. I don't do it often, but actually just sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds or something that are not too
These are
because
good.
they're really just you can get a bunch of them really easy. I also, by the way, you can do it, believe it or not. You can even eat it with your fingers, but just nice sushi, which is sometimes in Japan because you can eat the rice is not a big deal. It's not.
Friend, you're
you
throwing
can
me for a
pick it
loop
up.
here, man. You talking about
No,
sushi
you
as
just-
a gaming snack?
We're talking about as a
Yeah, it's
game
like an hors
snack.
d'oeuvre.
Yeah, I
Are
like
you
a
made
nice
of money?
rack of ribs. Whatever.
Oh,
I really
Filet
like
mignon,
I like some
sushi,
Kobe
whatever.
beef, just sitting on the side.
Yeah.
Slice
Just
off
some
a
cheap
piece.
Colby beef. No
Boom.
problem.
I'll let you Ethiopian food. Let you in on a secret. If you guys don't, you literally eat it with
they don't use
scoop up saucy, meat dishes.
I actually like to finger paint while I play Destiny. It's just
I don't need RGB. I do finger paint.
Ooh, man, I don't know if I could do sushi while I'm gaming, man. Sushi for me is a culinary experience. I'm embracing all
wanna
those
focus
flavors.
on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I want those flavors. I don't want to be distracted.
Yeah, I don't want to be
That's
thinking, am I staying
fair.
alive in the game? I want to be like, damn, this
No.
is some delicious sushi right now.
It's pretty good.
That's
Tuna is
true.
fresh.
That's
You'd
true
be
if I'm going
surprised.
out for good sushi. But do you ever have just
I don't
sushi
eat bad
that
sushi.
comes in a box?
No.
You never. I'm not talking about that.
No.
I'm not eating gas station sushi, Briar. No.
I live in San
No.
Francisco.
Risky
so a different
sushi,
context. I literally can get delivery sushi and it's no big deal.
Yeah.
So that's the only
That's
difference.
not
If I lived in the Midwest where I'm from in Illinois, I'm not going to tell you to do that, but out here.
You can't get fresh sushi in Illinois.
Now, where you live around again, Leopard?
Panhandle, Florida.
East. Oh, you're in Florida. That's right. Yeah.
So sushi's
I would
pretty easy to get. But if I'm eating sushi while gaming, my wife is giving it to me from chopsticks directly in my mouth when my hands are on the controller.
Oh, I would have thought you would have just put some nice nigiri right on the top of the trash, and then you could just.
I'm eating trash sushi.
Trash sushi.
Touche.
I love that story.
As long as it's fresh.
As long as it's fresh, man. Hasn't been touched. That unagi's is in tip-top shape.
Sam says, "What is the best joke you've ever heard at the worst time?" Got any good ones? Like
the best joke at the worst time? Like an inappropriate? Like what?
Yeah, inappropriate good joke. I'm sweating like a pregnant nun in church.
I win though.
That's a tough question.
I would have to think about that one.
Yeah, you need a little while to think about it.
I feel like someone's gonna have to say, "Oh, I was at like a funeral and somebody said this," and like, well,
yeah, I feel like that's the context.
I think we forget about moments like that as humans. You're like, "Ew, all right, well."
How's the baby not pregnant? Never done that.
Yeah, that is a good example in chat. Where they're like, "Oh my God, you're pregnant," and like, nope. No. You see it on TV. I've never seen it.
I just ate some nigiri.
Been pounding the trash sushi.
I came up with it. It's called trashimi. Sashimi. It's trashimi.
Don't knock it till you try it.
That's what I'm saying, man.
I'll take your word for it.
We're blowing the lid off on this, son.
Zachary Richard says, "Hello, everyone. So when you had Mesa Sean on last week, started talking about what he did as a teenager, tagging walls and such. It got me thinking, what were some amazing things you did while you were a teenager?" Anybody got any good
Leopard's the guest. He should
getting into trouble teenage stories?
Yeah.
Oh, I have some.
What kind of law breaking did you do, Stealthy Lep?
What's the statute of limitations? I think is really the question.
This whole podcast is just a sting operation for Leopard.
I'm sorry to disappoint, but I was a teenage angel. I didn't get, teenager me was a perfect angel. I have nothing. I'm sorry.
You guys were
hanging
never
out
arrested?
at the dump, eating food with your friends.
There was not even trash fries as a teenager. I was a straight shooter. I was walking the thin and narrow. I was an incredible human being back then.
I was a pyromaniac as a kid.
So oh, me too, man.
Every kid likes to.
Well, I mean, as a.
But I got busted.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because I burnt down a house or something. So we, in my hometown, there was like this really old like warehouse, and we got in as kids, and I was probably like, I don't know, 12 or 13, and my brother and our friends were 15, whatever. And we would just hang out there. But it was like an old warehouse. There was just like old furniture and cool like collectibles from like banks and stuff that were storing like, like minting press stuff. I don't know. It was just a place to hang out, but it was really old. And I don't know. For whatever the reason, you just hang around, you're bored. And I decided I was going to like, I had WD-40 cans and I was pulling them up on these little metal plates and just, lighting them on fire and fire.
Like you do, yeah.
Yeah, nothing happened. But we got caught going there, and they sort of looked at it after. So first of all, we got, I think we got arrested that day. They drove us home to.
You think you got arrested that day?
Well, it was for like just breaking and entering or whatever.
Was nothing really happened
car
or not?
But the short of this was after though they did the little investigation there and saw like the little burn marks on the. So nothing happened, but then the fire chief decided to have a big sit down with me and tell me that fire was dangerous. And I was a real butthole about it, I remember. But he was being very condescending, and I was like, nothing happened, okay? Like, he was like, he's like, you're going to go to a penitentiary, and you don't know what it's going to be like for you there. And I was like, rolling my eyes and remember what a little punk I was.
So you got arrested?
I didn't do anything. Yeah, but I didn't. That was
so raise your hand if you've never been arrested.
Never. You have not been.
You said you got arrested.
I like that Fallout. Yeah. No. If you've never been.
Raise if you never.
You said raise if you've never been arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Briar?
Briar?
Of course I've been arrested.
What
I
do you
feel
mean?
like a life lived not being arrested is a life
He's like,
wasted.
of course.
What am I doing wrong?
You're not.
Teach me.
Tefty, have I ever told the Molotov cocktail story on the podcast?
I remember this, but you should tell it again. Yes.
All right. So one time, me and my friend decided we would make Molotov cocktails.
You were rioting, sure.
Back in the day, when I was growing up, when you got bottles of soda, they still came in glass bottles. So like little 12-ounce glass bottles. So we had a bunch of those in our trash. So I filled them up with gasoline, and then I put the screw tops back on them. I threw them in my backpack, and I rode my bicycle to my friend's house. That's one does. And then once we got to his house, we didn't really know how Molotov cocktails worked. We'd seen them in movies and stuff, right? Like as far as we knew, is you put the rag in, you light the rag on fire, and then it blows up. Right?
There you go.
We put the Molotov. We put the first Molotov cocktail. We went down to the street that had a bridge that was kind of passed over a stream that was probably 10 feet wide. And we put the Molotov cocktail right in the middle of the bridge, thinking that if anything goes wrong, we're surrounded by water. We're good. So you
put your soda with a rag in it.
There you go. Yeah.
What?
We put the Molotov cocktail in the middle of the bridge.
In the middle of the road.
Fire. Yeah, in the middle of the road on the bridge. And we lit it on fire. And then, as kids do, we ran away. And we were watching it from in the woods. And then a car comes and stops about 10 feet away from the Molotov cocktail and just like looks at it and then drives right over it and keeps going.
Oh, no.
Just keeps going. So at this point, we're freaked out. Like, this guy's clearly going to call the cops, right? Like, he just drove over a Molotov cocktail. And the thing's not blowing up. We don't know what to do. Like, we thought the thing was going to explode. It never exploded. So I run up to it and I kick it.
This keeps getting better.
Makes Molotov a cocktail explode. It's going to break the glass. Really, that's a key ingredient to the Molotov cocktail. The glass breaks. The gasoline spreads across the bridge into the water, the stream, and now the stream is on fire.
Naturally.
The stream is fire.
Like it happens in the movies, right?
Right.
The fire, just like in Die Hard. The fire is floating down the river. And there's like all these reeds, like kind of like
wilting,
kind of overhanging the stream. Luckily, they don't light on fire. Luckily, they don't light on fire. Nobody got hurt, but we never made Molotov cocktails.
FBI is watching the stream right now. Like, we got him.
That was the guy.
We got the confession.
Yeah. We got him, boys.
This freaking guy right here.
That's a brilliant story, bro.
That was my Molotov cocktail story. That's the kind of shit we used to do in rural Connecticut.
Nice.
Get bored out there, man.
Anybody else got
one? As a 13-year-old, I did spray a fair amount of WD-40 into a 2-liter bottle.
See?
And light the top on fire, and then blew the flame at the neck of the bottle down into the reservoir at the bottom where all the WD-40 was sitting, and it exploded back into my face, and I melted the eyelashes in my left eye shut, where they melted the eyelashes together and burned up half the hair on this part of my head. And I didn't really play with fire after that point.
Dude, I had...
Wow.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's a horrible smell. You never want to smell burning
your own
hair.
burning hair.
Yeah, that's not the best smell.
No, it's terrible. And related to that, I made the mistake of throwing it was a spray can or WD-40 or something into like a fire that my dad was burning stuff in the backyard, because back then you just burn trash or wood in the backyard.
Yeah, in the 90s you did whatever, man.
Like, who cares? So I threw it in there, not thinking about the fact that he's still putting stuff in there. So I knew it was going to blow up. And he was like, went back to the garage. Here he comes. He's coming back. And I'm literally like, that Kermit gif, like, and I'm staring at him, and he just keeps going. And I didn't say anything because, like, you're going to get in trouble. Right. So just risk it. Oh, my God. I don't know if he was coming back or almost there, and it blew up. Like, heat wave, and same thing. End of my eyelashes got little balls on them, and I had like singe. I was like, oh my God. And I guess he probably had the same problem, but it was the dumbest thing I've probably ever done.
That's my boy.
Yeah. It was one of the many dumb things I've done, I'm sure.
Yeah, I got a thing I got to do. Sorry for dipping out early. As tradition, last time I was here, it got to bounce out a little.
Technically, it's not early, so you're good.
Yeah, we're late.
with this show, you never know.
Yep.
But boys, thank you again very much for having me. Really appreciate being on, as always. And chat, just Google Fallout Plays. You can find me YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter at Fallout Plays. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for being on, man.
Thanks, Fallout.
You bet.
Peace
Thank
out,
you.
boys.
I'll look you up on Pornhub.
Later, Fallout.
Later.
That
transition. Have the
How this
transition.
transition
It's a
gonna
little
go, Tim?
rough. It's a little rough.
They'll be fine.
Leopard, I'm sorry.
He's fine. You can see his eyes.
Yeah, we can see your eyes.
He's fine.
There you go. Yeah, assume the slouch. Excellent. We're good now.
It's the end of the show. It's not a big
Yep.
deal.
Perfect.
Ringo the Dingo says, we already answered this one. Mohegan 9 says, you're getting put to death in an electric chair. While sitting down, you have a heart attack. Do they try and save you?
Oh, yeah. I think definitely.
Right?
Like, it's probably code. They have
got to
to
kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely think they would. And because you're assigned to go that way, I don't think
They'd revive you just to have you get jolted?
That's
well, wait,
bureaucracy.
though. That wasn't part of the
That sounds
question.
like my
Did you
government.
die? Well, wait.
You're having a heart attack.
You're
Are
just
they gonna,
having
like,
one. So they try to not let you die before they kill you. I think absolutely.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That sounds like my government.
Yeah, you're in the middle of cardiac arrest. They have to actually save you by law because that's
what I was thinking.
Yeah, they can't treat an inmate without proper medical.
They can't let you die.
Yeah.
And what if somebody ran in at the end too and be like, "No, wait, I have the papers. He's innocent.
He's about to. Oh wait.
I want to be the guy that was like, crap. I just let him die and sit there.
Yeah. I thought this was one of these like weird, like let's say you're.
I thought this was going to
Like
be a
what?
funny question.
Like what would you
It's not,
eat
though.
as your last meal and that type of thing?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Hey,
Yep.
Fitzy says, if someone likes their steak well done, like literally dry, can you trust them? No, Fitzy, you cannot trust those people.
Remember all that time that we trusted Mr. Aries? Yikes, man.
Oh boy.
That was
Wait,
brief.
is this with steaks or just in general?
He
it's
eats a well-done steak.
With extra ketchup, please.
I think he might have
Do you
liked
like him
ketchup.
well
I don't
done?
remember, but he definitely liked. He liked it well done.
Is he in chat?
He might be.
Wait, Leopard, did
sure
you say
he's-
you like it well done?
No, I was joking. Medium rare, no sauce, none of that.
Gotcha.
Dry
You ever had a
rub.
steak that's too rare?
Yeah, I don't actually.
I've not. No.
I
I'm
don't
sure.
like
I'm sure it
too
exists, but I've not had it.
They get a little chewy for me. I appreciate the taste, but it's just a little. I actually like the medium rare. I like it, but it depends on the steak. Like it's got to be real buttery and not like tearing it apart. You know.
Yeah, he said.
I don't like
like
it
the
when it's still
color.
cold in the middle. Like,
Yeah, and that's got to be.
I like
nice
it
and
rare,
warm.
but I don't. I do like it to be warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'll have carpaccio. You know, if I want to have cold, raw meat.
The way I look at it with this stuff is like, if you're going to a really nice steakhouse, I'm gonna have it cooked the way they think it should be cooked for the cut of meat.
That's fair.
But if I'm going to a place that just happens to have steaks also, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'll probably want it medium just because I don't know who's cooking it back there. But if it's a steakhouse that's super fancy that knows about steaks, I'm gonna be like, you tell me how you think this beautiful piece of meat should be cooked.
One of the
I feel
problems
like
I have
if
is
you order it medium though, you get it well done. Like if you go to a place that doesn't really know steaks, like if you order rare, you get a medium. If you order a medium, you get a well done steak. You guys don't have that same
I've
experience?
had the opposite before, where I've ordered medium and it's been like really rare.
Well, you won the lottery, my friend. Celebrate.
I went out, bought a Ferrari, had Ferrari Fridays by myself. It was weird.
Full of steaks.
Steak Ferrari Fridays.
ever since I married my wife, I've not had a steak at a restaurant better than what my wife cooks. So if I want to get
That's
steak, I'll
pretty
just stay
solid.
home.
Are you under contract right now?
No, that's why I married her. I mean, that's
For the steak.
Is she in the room with you right now?
no, she's
sharpening the
she's
knives.
dead asleep right now.
Fast asleep, yeah.
Yeah.
Last question of the night. Blandy McBlanderson says, you're at your favorite fast food restaurant. Let's say it's Taco Bell, and you find that you need to pee. You go into the restroom, but you find that whoever was there before you forgot to flush. Do you, 1, pee on top, or 2,
Pee on top.
flush, pee, then flush again?
Pee on top. How does his pee affect my life?
Splashback.
Yeah.
Are you willing?
That's all.
There
That's
could be
what you're
cooties in that pee
just
right
Think
now.
about this.
It's just number
you
one
walk
in
in,
there, though, right?
You got trash sushi sitting right there. You're thinking you're going to grab a bite. You're like, oh, splashback, and it hit the trash sushi.
My stream is not strong enough to cause splashback. So I'm safe.
Yeah. Did you say it was a fast food restaurant?
Fast food,
Taco
Bell.
Yeah, I might.
Oh,
I might get a
it's a
little
Taco
foot
Bell?
flush in
My
there
bad.
first.
Oh yeah, I'm not
Flush.
touching that toilet bowl with
Then unleash.
Give it like a little kick. Get the flush.
I might wrap my
But the
foot in
flush
toilet
of a
paper
Taco
first.
Bell toilet, like, will like just throw.
It's true. That's another problem. You have to like.
aerate.
Close the lid.
But it depends.
There is no lid. It's just the circular, like, half circle lid. Like, there's no cap.
You don't know how it's going to be. But yeah, that is the risk. Sometimes I like to flush, and then as it's going down, get out of there as fast as possible. Let it.
I say just walk out and pee in the hallway.
Yeah, I was going to say pee on the toilet itself. Not in the bowl, just pee on it.
Oh,
Pee
God,
right next to it.
I hate.
Pee in the corner.
Open
next
the
to
top.
I hate
rag,
anybody that
piss
would
in
do
there.
that. Just don't go if you're that person.
I'm in the urinal. It's fine.
Also, pull out.
Why are you in
a
the
Molotov
stall anyway?
cocktail out of your backpack. Light it. Throw it as you're leaving. You're good. No,
Kick
don't
it.
do that. That's
Come
arson.
on, Teffy. I was young. I was like 28, man, when that happened. Give me a break.
What? 28? Oh my gosh.
It's like 5 years older
It's
than
like
Fran.
a few years ago. Yeah. Oh, whatever. Oh my God.
That's it for questions.
Excellent.
They got
Good as
weird
always.
today. They got weird questions today.
Yeah. Some strange ones.
Yeah.
Is it my turn to close it down?
I think so. You did the intro. You probably should.
All right, I guess we're closing it down. Guys, thank you very much for watching episode number 132 of DCP. If you want to find more of me, you can find me at Teft on Twitter. Talk to me about weird things or whatever. It's all good either way. And catch my streams, twitch.tv/TeftyTeft on the old Twitcherinos. That's it.
God, black tie, man. Just perfect. Smooth as butter.
Who's next?
Outro. Yeah, Fran, do it up.
All right. If you're watching live right now here on Twitch, you can find me at twitch.tv/FM3_. By the way, that stands for Fran Mirabelle III. And my arcade initials, if you're trying to remember why I would have that. So FM3_ is a great way to drop by, support me. I play a lot of different stuff, actually. I'm more of the variety type. And then you can find me at Fran Mirabella on Twitter.
Mr. LP Stealth, where can people find you?
Leopard on Twitch, Leopard Stealth on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. And I'm a lazy dad, below average gamer. I play literally everything because I stream 10 hours a day.
Nice.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me repairing a 2018 Accord Turbo from a failed cannonball run across the United States. We made a good run at it. We almost made it out of New York City. Next time, I think it'll go a lot better. We have the experience, and we got the know-how, and I think it'll go well.
Nice. I like it. All right, that's the show, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week and all that stuff. Bye.
Bye.